back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device. Brandon Jacobs has been posting photos of his son. His son's 14 years old. Just finished 8th grade. He's going to be a freshman. He's 6'4", 264 pounds. That's
imagine sending your kid to play little league football, and that guy comes steamrolling at you.
It's amazing. There was a picture that Brandon Jacobs put up. I don't have it.
He's sitting on the sidelines with an electric razor, shaving his beard.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, November the 24th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you. And with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello. Happy Thanksgiving Eve.
Yes, indeed.
Happy Thanksgiving Eve, or as some people call it, amateur night.
Amateur night.
Amateur
yeah,
night.
If you're under 25, I guess.
If you're under 25, it's amateur night, yeah. But anyway.
Why is it amateur night?
Well, because
people go out drinking. That's not as bad as New Year's Eve, though, is it?
No, New Year's Eve is worse, but you only you have
okay.
The majority of people out this night aren't, everybody, aren't all ages.
It's college kids.
College
They
kids.
don't have a lot of responsibilities tomorrow.
Right.
They just have to
Yeah.
They just have to get hammered and
or get
wake up at
dressed.
2 in the afternoon and start eating.
And show up and eat. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, wake up Thanksgiving morning in a strange bed.
I hate all of them.
That too, right.
But I'm not bitter. I'm
Not
not
at
a
all.
bitter old man.
Not a bitter old man, are you? That's for sure.
Yeah, I wish I could be doing that right now.
So, so Thanksgiving is tomorrow. What's in store for you guys?
Just food and friends.
Food and friends. Yes, food and friends is always a good thing. That's what we'll be doing as well.
Hopefully some sleep beyond 6:30 in the morning.
There you go. Well, I'll be doing my normal. I'll be getting up at probably about 6:30, 7 o'clock, and getting the turkey going. And my beer day gets started right around 9. So I always
living the stereotype.
Well, you can't drink all day unless you start in the morning, right? So
It's true.
so.
Yeah, I think we're having
rough.
a slightly smaller gathering tomorrow.
Okay. Sure. Why not?
Well, normally it's
So instead of 30 people, it's 28 people.
Well, we have the two families, right?
Sure.
My wife's family.
We got the two families.
Well, the
We
two
got to
families.
bring them together.
So
Break
my
a little bread.
two sister-in-laws are married to brothers. So, and there's
Your two sister-in-laws are married to
two brothers.
two brothers.
So there's like 6 kids in that family,
Right.
and then all of us, all of my in-laws, my wife's family, and then me and my sister, and it's a lot of people. But I think we're going to have some split. Not all of the matriarchs and everybody is going to be all in the same place. So it's going to be a little bit of a smaller gathering, which is fine with me.
Fine with you.
Yeah, maybe it'd be like 10 of us, which would be nice because normally you have to Alvin Ailey your way through the dining room because the tables are there's 4 tables set up at different angles, and it's just
What's the Alvin Ailey move again?
the Alvin Ailey where you sort of shimmy through.
Turn sideways and work your way. Yeah.
Do you ever see the Dennis Miller bit about white people dancing at a wedding?
No,
No.
I don't think so. Actually.
It's a great bit about.
Oh, you kids out there, go back to 1983 and look at the Dennis Miller.
It's a great
This is
bit
back when Dennis Miller was funny.
Dennis Miller,
about
83,
all
yeah.
of the
About right. Yeah.
when the music starts playing and the hands go up and all of the African American people at the wedding are shimmying and dancing and moving Alvin Ailey-esque out on the dance floor. And then you see the white people who trudge out onto the dance floor and then make a conscious decision to begin dancing.
Right.
1, 2, 3.
3, 4. And then start moving. Right. Yeah, I got you.
So
That's the Dennis Miller routine.
yeah.
So, well, happy Thanksgiving Eve. I just had to have a beer. So.
I have cold coffee
Yes, as do I.
and only a little bit too.
I needed one after today. Long day. Long evening. It was good though. Got a lot of stuff done. So, anyway, all right. Let's get started on some sports. A couple of baseball things really quick before we start. Now, Billy Epler for the Mets obviously is official.
Yeah.
Finally. Only took like 97 weeks.
Phew! We can all relax now. Things
now.
are going to be okay.
No, not at all. Here's the thing. Obviously, Thor, Noah Syndergaard went out to L.A. Aaron Loop followed him out there. Boom, went right out there. So, and apparently, and that happened after Epler was already GM. So apparently, there's a mass exodus to California on the Mets, I guess. I don't know, but especially the pitching staff anyway. But, I guess it wasn't a priority to keep the best relief pitcher in baseball last year on your team. But who knows?
Well, that's
just me. Call me silly.
California's got a
the West Coast has the sunshine. And the girls all get so tan.
Is the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim still, or it's the Los Angeles Angels?
It's just the LA Angels. That's it.
Okay, so LA. Look, I think we talked about this previously. I'm just doing some reading about it, and if they want to be in this thing, they need to make a lot of moves, and pitching is one of them. So, listen, why not go to the team where things are in disarray and nobody seems to know how to do anything right, and make some deals? Why not? That's a smart move. Who else is disgruntled? Who else is on a team where chaos is reigning right now? Probably no other team as much as the Mets right now.
That's right, yeah.
But if I were the LA Angels of California, I would
poach as much as you want.
I would be finding other guys who are uncertain about the future of the team, and just got a GM the other day, for Christ's sake.
Right.
And I'd be like, hey, you want to come out here and play? We got this guy named Trout. We got this guy named Ohtani. We got a pitcher named Thor. And, we got the best reliever in baseball last
Rendon's
year.
out there, too.
And which was kind of he was kind of a bust for them so far, but
he's still Rendon, but
yeah, he is what he is. So yeah, they got a few pieces there, and they're going to look to add some more, and it could be a very
could be interesting.
I mean, if you're out on in the American League West, who do you, and you're not the Angels, who do you have to contend with?
Yeah,
Oakland that never spends any money and never quite goes anywhere, right?
Seattle.
Well, Oakland and Seattle were both
okay, but
really, really good last year.
Right, but what did they do?
They did better than Anaheim.
I mean, in the West, the only one they really got to, I mean, everybody has to contend with Houston. That's it, in the West. Yeah. I mean, they're contending with each other, but let's face it, everybody is contending with Houston.
Right, but if you can add some good, if you're Anaheim and you add some good pieces, you got two of the best players in baseball.
Sure.
Arguably the best in Mike Trout.
Right.
You're
right.
So,
I hear you.
It could be an attractive place to go.
Well, the other thing, too, is Steven Matz obviously was leaving Toronto, and apparently they had a deal on the table with him to have him come back for 4 years. I really, what? I like Steven Matz, but I don't like him as a pitcher. He didn't do anything for the Mets, and they're going to bring him back after a year because he had a decent year in Toronto. So they had a deal on the table, but he and his manager, his agent, jumped ship, at the 11th hour, if you will, and signed a deal with the Cardinals. Yeah. And Steve Cohen got pissed off, took to Twitter, I guess words and handshakes and agreements don't mean anything anymore. Like, Steve, stop. Just stop. It's Steven Matz. You didn't lose Trevor Bauer. You didn't lose Justin Verlander. You didn't lose, Garrett Cole. You didn't lose a big name pitcher. Well, Steven Matz. Come on.
Well, you didn't even lose him. You didn't have him.
They were somebody signed. Stop.
But according to Anthony DiComo, whoever the hell that is.
But he works for SNY and he's a writer.
Okay. So the Mets made an offer, and apparently 6 or 7 other teams did.
And he picked.
And the Cardinals went to 4 years, which I guess the Mets did not.
Yeah, I think they were giving him 2, and then maybe an option for a third. I think is what it was.
Yeah. Okay.
So he went with the 4 years. You know what? It's ridiculous. But here's my thing. They made this big announcement today. They made. Mets offseason kicks off. They've signed their first player. They've signed their first major league player. They've signed Nick Plummer to a major league contract.
Jake Plummer?
Nick Plummer. Now, my first reaction when I saw it was, and I commented on the Mets post, I was like, who the hell's Nick Plummer?
Yeah.
Right? He's a Cardinals, or was a Cardinals minor leaguer. Okay? So they signed a Cardinals minor leaguer to a major league contract. He's an outfielder. All right? So essentially, they promoted a Cardinals minor leaguer over any of their own minor leaguers.
Right. Yeah, and by the way,
and that was their big announcement. That was their, hey, look, we're signing people.
And not just any Cardinals minor leaguer.
Mm-hmm.
Cardinals minor leaguer who really didn't do anything until last year. Had a couple of wrist surgeries. That always bodes well for players as they get older.
Right.
You know, the wrist never has problem. And basically didn't get added to the 40-man roster.
Right. He had a decent year last year for the first time and didn't get added on. Right.
Yeah, 280, 415, 479.
It's 17 home runs or something like that.
Between the double and triple A affiliates, 15 home runs and 13 steals.
15, yeah.
Yeah. So,
ridiculous.
That's not bad. He's a prospect. He's 25 years old. Great.
Right.
But he's been hurt. He's had surgery, and he wasn't good enough to make the Cardinals.
They have people in their own farm system that are better than this guy, and they sign him. They promoted him out of the Cardinals minor league and gave him a major league contract. It's shocking. I think the Wilpons had their finger on what went better for the Mets than this regime does. It's almost as if Sandy's there just to fuck everything up. Yeah. I really don't. I really don't get it. And they did sign a minor league contract last week with Jose Rodriguez. They took him out of Angels AAA. He's a right-handed pitcher. So, well, they got those two things going for them. So there you go.
Yeah. So the Cardinals and the Angels are where everything Mets has to go through one of those teams. So far,
to and from, exactly.
Or maybe other teams in red. They'll make some.
It's a red thing. Yeah, exactly. So. Maybe it means they're getting the Castellanos. You know, who knows?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Right. Well, I can dream.
They're idiots. They don't know.
Anyway, and no matter you get, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. What they really need to concentrate on is they need to get a veteran manager in there. Buck Showalter, it's somebody. They need to get a veteran presence in there. I would love Buck Showalter, but they would need a veteran presence in there. But you know what's going to happen. And I've said it before. You know exactly what's going to happen. Carlos Beltran's going to be the manager of the team next year. I'll put money on it. Carlos Beltran's going to manage the team. So
doesn't that make sense though?
For the richest owner in baseball to be frugal, absolutely makes.
Well, I don't know if
sense.
he's going to be frugal. You think Beltran's going to get less money than a Buck Showalter?
I think that Buck Showalter's going to. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right money wise, but still, who would you rather have? Just stay out of it as from a Yankees perspective, or even a Mets perspective, just a team perspective. Who would you rather have manage your team?
No, I mean
Buck Showalter or Carlos Beltran?
Buck Showalter, without a doubt. But it just seems like it makes so much sense. It makes no sense at all that it makes sense for the Mets.
Yes,
right.
Looking at it like that,
yes.
It makes perfect sense because it's just staying on the same track to oblivion.
Exactly.
Hiring Buck Showalter would be somebody threw a switch and they're actually.
If they get no veterans on this team, it's a free agent signing veterans. I mean, they get no free agents like respectable, good pieces, free agent, like they went out and spent money. They get nobody. All right. They bring up a couple of minor leaguers, whether their own or sign other people from other teams like they did with Nick Plummer, and bring in Carlos Beltran, and this team continues down the same path they've been going. If I were these guys on the team, I'd ask for a trade.
Right.
I would.
Yeah,
let me ask you guys, because I don't really have my pulse on this. Who do you expect realistically is on the table right now for the Mets to sign in this offseason?
Well, they need pitching.
Well, everybody
needs pitching. They really
obviously they need pitching now.
They really should. They really should sign Javi Baez.
It sounds like they're going to.
It sounds like they are, but other teams are interested too. Just like and Sandy Alderson is the king of. Oh well, you know what? I'll give you money, but it's only going to be this much, and it's only going to be for this many years. And then another team offers him like 50 cents more and an extra year, and Sandy Alderson doesn't budge, and he goes to the other team.
I think Javi Baez is your best bet as far as.
Well, yeah, they who's going to play the outfield?
Yeah,
I mean,
well, they want to go get. They want to go get that. They want to go get that. The Japanese guy. I forget his name. from the
Suzuki?
Nippon League.
See
Yeah.
See ya, Suzuki.
Yeah. They want to bring him in because he's had a killer year, a couple of years over in Japan, and they want to bring him in. It's like a 4-year, $40 million contract or $24 million. It's a cheap deal. It's worth it. But is he going to be? Here's the thing: is he going to be Ichiro Suzuki or is he going to be Kaz Matsui? Who's he going to be? Because you never know. But anyway,
maybe.
Well,
somewhere
and what's going on with Conforto?
Conforto he didn't take the qualifying offer. Now, if he doesn't get signed by another team, maybe he comes back and say, "Hey, I'll stay for the qualifying offer. Nobody gave me the money I wanted, but somebody's gonna pick him up. Somebody's gonna pick Conforto up."
Well, but can the Mets can still match, right?
The Mets can match it. But
I mean, he
depends on what it is.
Offer, so he is an unrestricted free agent right now, right?
He's an unrestricted free agent, but they can match. The Mets can match it. The Mets can match it if he turns it down, then they get that compensatory pick.
Yeah.
So, but
now, whether he's going to take that as an insult or he's going to go, hey, they made the qualifying offer. If somebody offers me more and they offer me more than somebody else offers me, I'll go back. Hopefully he's not looking at it in a negative way, but he might be looking to. He might take less from somebody else to get the hell out of there. That's the real problem.
No. That's not going to happen. It's Scott Boras. So Scott Boras wants his money.
So
Scott Boras wants his money.
If the Mets pony up, they'll get him.
Right.
Basically.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
So, but here's the thing, though. I think that if there was somebody else in there, and I don't know how much clout and how much say-so Billy Epler's going to have over Sandy Alderson, but what it really boils down to it is Steve Cohen is listening to Sandy Alderson. So I think Steve Cohen, and not to waste money, not to throw money and spend money like a drunken sailor. I get that. But to spend the right money in the right places, Sandy Alderson's going to have a limit. And somebody else might go above that. Steve Cohen would say yes, but Sandy Alderson's telling him no, so he's saying no. It's a nightmare. But
I think Steve Cohen needs an owner mentor.
Okay.
He needs an experienced owner.
Yeah. So maybe Jeff Wilpon will offer his service.
Listen, as far as tweeting and stuff goes, that might be good because Wilpon, everything was kept close to the vest with those guys, right?
Sure.
I mean, look, Cohen tweets, "I'm not happy this morning." I'm not happy this morning. I've never seen such unprofessional behavior exhibited by a player's agent. Really? Have you never?
You've never done. Well, clearly you haven't dealt with many agents.
Really? Have you never heard about anything else that's ever gone on in baseball with any agent? So you're clueless about that.
Clueless. He's clueless. He's clueless.
I guess words and promises don't matter.
He's a fan with a lot of money. That's what he is. He's not an owner. He's a fan with a lot of money.
You little bitch.
Yeah.
Stop. Shut the fuck up. Stop it.
I hate to say it, but I honestly think the consortium with A-Rod involved would have probably been a little bit better of a direction for the Mets at this point.
Well,
maybe down the road, a couple of years, obviously things will pan out better and different once Steve Cohen has his feet wet and learns the business a little bit more, and Sandy Alderson's gone and out of there. But right now, I mean, like the present, like for the last year and this year, I think like that whole consortium with A-Rod would have probably done better for the team than has done so far.
Well, yeah, and I mean not only that, but until Sandy is gone from the fold,
right?
It's going to be damaging, and how much more damage is going to be done, and how long will it take to recover from that?
Right.
This could be Alderson could be gone after this year, and it still could be another 2 or 3 or 4 years
just because of the shit that has gone on for the last 2 years. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not willing to close the book on the Cohen ownership era,
right?
Which could be for the next few to several decades. But he's off to a horrendous start.
Yeah, this is bad.
Tweeting like a little baby who
is bad.
Crying to the media is not helping.
Here's a couple things. Getting back to your outfielder scenario, let me ask you this: can McNeil play the outfield?
Yeah.
What if you were to sign Starling Marte and Chris Bryant? Now, those are two realistic signings for the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
Move McNeil to the outfield, okay? Then maybe Robbie Cano comes back, although he had a slight injury, I think, this week down in wherever the hell he is. He's playing.
Yeah, he hurt his back.
But I think he's going to be back. So what if you had a lineup that was Marte, Lindor, Baez, Pete Alonso, Brandon Nimmo, Bryant, Cano, McNeil, and McCann? That's a pretty darn good lineup. And that's all realistic signings that the Mets can make.
You left Marte out, too.
No, I had Marte leading off.
No, Marte was leading off. Okay.
Yeah. But I think you have to have him lead off.
Right.
Him or Lindor. I like Lindor second. But my point being is that still leaves you room to get a pitcher or two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the only flaw in that lineup is Cano. I don't think he can hit anymore.
I think he's going to have a bounce back year.
I think he is too, but you know what's going to happen? He's going to be, they should move Smith and get something for him.
Right.
And then instead of having Smith playing the outfield where he really doesn't belong, or playing first base a lot and Alonso not playing and just DHing, you got Cano, move Smith. Now you got Cano can DH most of the time, or Baez on second.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, I think all of those are realistic. Look, I want the Yankees to go after Starling Marte. The Yankees have too many outfielders that can't play the outfield that are going to be stuck there no matter what. But I think Marte is one that could slide in under the radar here. That lets you re-sign Javi Baez, and then maybe, get a Chris Bryant or somebody who could play third base for a couple more years. Mm-hmm. And now you have more of a veteran team that's going to attract a manager that's going to say, okay, now I got some professionals in here. I've got a little bit of youth. I've got good speed with Marte and Lindor. I've got some power in there, obviously, and I've got a decent bottom of the lineup. McCann. I mean, he's kind of a clutch hitter every once in a while, but he's also the guy that you want behind the plate,
right?
Especially
he pulls a good
catcher.
game.
He's not there for his hitting.
He's there,
So I don't think
opposite of Piazza,
right,
who was there for his hitting and not so much his catching prowess.
Yeah. I actually think that the Mets, from an offensive lineup, I think they've got some realistic possibilities there that they could sign to and look, and you have to think Lindor is gonna have a better year than he had last year. I actually think Alonso and maybe Brandon Nimmo are gonna have better years than they had last year. Okay. So now you got a team that's not bad and pretty decent defensively, a lot better defensively in the outfield than you were last year.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. That actually sounds great. That scenario sounds awesome. And it's very possible that could happen. If they go after Bryant and Marte and sign Baez, and now they can go after some pitching and everything else. And it works out perfectly. It really does. But
you need somebody there making the moves.
You still need somebody in the dugout with these guys making the lineup card.
I think that's the moves the Mets make. I think that helps them get a manager on board, and I think that moves it away from a Beltran and closer to
a Buck Showalter,
a Showalter or equivalent.
Right.
And even with that lineup, I don't know Beltran. So maybe Beltran can make that work. Maybe
Beltran could look.
There's a lot of people hot on Beltran.
Who knew Alex Cora before? Who knew Alex Cora was going to be as a manager before he went to Boston? And he's doing pretty damn good up there. He won a World Series with them, and he got them pretty close this year. So,
and baseball's the one sport where ex-players typically do a little better managing or coaching than way better than basketball or football, obviously. But Beltran was kind of a superstar. Usually, the superstar players never want to coach, let alone become great coaches.
Exactly. And Alex Cora was never a superstar.
And you could argue Dusty
Alex Cora
Baker
played for the Mets. Do you remember him playing for the Mets?
Right. Dusty Baker was an all-star, but he was nowhere near as big a star as Carlos Beltran. Right. Lou Piniella was a platoon left fielder who had a couple really good years with the Yankees, but if he didn't play in New York, nobody would have known about him.
Right, exactly.
So Joe Torre is probably, but he wasn't a superstar, but he's probably the best overall player and it took him a long time to build
Sure.
up his coaching resume to get to the point where he was.
When he was coaching the Mets, he was the last player manager for the Mets,
right.
And then he became the manager for 3 or 4 seasons, and I was
right.
clueless Joe, right? He sucked.
Even Yogi Berra, but Yogi Berra was a far better player than he ever had, with Billy Martin was a kind of utility infielder.
That wound up being a great manager.
Exactly. Right. So that's my one concern with Beltran is that does he have the perspective of the player in mind,
right.
Or is this just Larry Bird sitting on the sideline for the Pacers hoping he could go in there and play?
Right. I do
and he had good players.
Yeah, I do like your ideas though, and it actually works. It works out for the Mets too because they got Billy Batty coming up in the minors, and he's gonna be popping up to play third base, and he's going to be a good third baseman, but he's not ready just yet. Bring Chris Bryant in and put him over there, and then work Batty in obviously whenever he's ready.
Because the big name free agents this year, there's 9 shortstops. What's the one position the Mets don't need and can't really sign as a shortstop?
Mauricio, they have Mauricio in the minors,
right.
And he's a great shortstop, but he's never going to play shortstop for the Mets. Yeah. So they got to convert him to an outfielder or trade him. And I think they need
second or third. If Baez doesn't work out.
Well, Batty's going to be at third, so they can convert him a second. But if you're signing Baez, then whatever, we'll go from there. But the other thing is, then they got Alvarez down there too, who's definitely the heir apparent to McCann, a catch behind the plate. So they got pieces in the minors, but I think you should definitely tweet at Steve Cohen that lineup.
The problem with all of this is that none of it is going to happen.
No, of course. We're just talking about it. It worked
it
perfectly.
Great.
It's going to be a great thing for him. Never going to happen.
This is really good stuff, but unfortunately, none of it's going to happen.
Guys, get me their agents on the phone.
There you go. Let's do it. So, anyway, all right. One other thing in baseball. I'm sorry. Listen to my train of thought here. Cooperstown, Hall of Fame.
They still have that?
They still have that. They do. First year of eligibility for Ryan Howard, Big Papi, A-Rod, Jimmy Rollins, and Mark Teixeira. Do any of them get in their first year of eligibility? Besides Big Papi?
Well, Big Papi's the only one that doesn't really have any sort of negative baggage behind him. I think the one thing with Big Papi is that he was a DH, and in the past, the Hall has not been very kind to DH, designated hitters. Mm-hmm. I would argue that Big Papi was the best clutch hitter, especially in the postseason, maybe in the history of the game. And I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And if they don't vote him in, then I think that there is something systemically wrong with the assembled people who are voting.
Well, I think there's something systemically wrong with them anyway. But that's
they've done some stupid things. He never got busted for any substances, but there were allegations about him. But
there were allegations about Mike Piazza too. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but that could be something that
guys
could hold back their vote for.
A-Rod should be a no-brainer.
His suspension and his and the whole Genesis thing is gonna hurt him, and he'll get in. I think he will get in. But I don't think he's going first ballot.
I think that's
second or third year.
And I think a lot of people, a lot of those voters will go, nope, not right away.
He's not getting. Yeah, they're gonna know. Okay, yeah, we're putting A-Rod in the Hall, but he's not going right now.
Yeah,
second or third year.
It's Clemens.
He did it, and we know he did it.
More
and
on that.
He admitted to doing it. So
yeah. So what about Ryan Howard? I think
Ryan Howard's a bubble. I think he's a bubble player.
Bubble for the Hall at all, or just first ballot?
Bubble for the Hall.
Okay. Jimmy Rollins.
I agree. I don't automatically think.
I think Jimmy Rollins
Howard
will.
In.
I think Jimmy Rollins will get in. I'm not sure he'll get in the first time around.
First. Gotcha.
I think Jimmy Rollins is a Hall of Famer, though.
Pete, you?
Rollins, yeah. But not first time.
Not first. Okay. And Teixeira.
Did Teixeira have any performance enhancing? Did he have any steroid issues?
No, I don't think he was Mr.
So, no.
Clean, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. He was on that Rangers team that seemed like they were all shooting each other up in between pitches. So
I don't remember him ever ever having anything said about it.
I don't.
No.
I don't really don't.
I
Remember
didn't
anything.
think so either. But I have to ask this.
Performance enhancing drugs, yes or no? Either way, aside, play wise, does he get in?
I think if you look at Teixeira's numbers, the one thing that's going to hold him back a little bit is how long he played. But yeah, I think Mark Teixeira is a Hall of Famer. I think all of these guys, in my opinion, I think Howard is a little bit of a question mark again because he dropped off so dramatically after having some great years. Right. He's the only one that's a question mark to me. The rest of them are definitely Hall of Famers.
So Howard's on the bubble. Ortiz is first ballot. A-Rod should be first ballot, but probably be second or third year. Rollins will be second or third year. Teixeira should get in probably a second or third year as well.
I'd have to look at Teixeira's numbers. I don't know how I feel.
I mean, before he came to the Yankees, his numbers were. Didn't he win an MVP?
He won MVP.
Yeah.
All right, and in their last year of eligibility, this is it. They don't get in this year. They ain't getting in. All right?
Well, can't they get in with the veterans?
Well, they can get in on the veterans. They can get in veterans.
That's
that's
backing in. Backing into the playoffs.
That's
backing
in.
into the hall.
Yeah, exactly. Last year of eligibility, Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, and Curt Schilling.
Well, this will answer all your questions.
Mm-hmm.
This will answer. In my opinion, yes. I think that and I know Pete maybe has a slightly.
To be quite honest with you, I think all four of them should be in the Hall of Fame.
I think all four of them are four of the top maybe 50 baseball players of all time.
Right.
Schilling and Clemens may be the two best pitchers of an entire generation, especially when you see what they did in the postseason, along with Randy Johnson.
Right.
So, yeah, I think they should all get in. I'll be honest with you. The one on that list that if he doesn't get in, I think it's going to bode not well for people like A-Rod is Barry Bonds. I mean, if you look at what Barry Bonds did, you know, it's unfortunate because he was the most productive baseball player, at least at the plate, for a long time. And there was the steroid Barry Bonds, who was a completely different player and who was one of the best outfielders in the history of the game.
Yeah. Two different players.
I mean,
two different players.
If you came into this not knowing about the history of Barry Bonds and you just look at what he did,
and you'd say, why the hell is he not in the Hall of Fame already?
He's probably the best. He's probably the best power hitter in the history of the game. And A-Rod, too. I mean, A-Rod's numbers are incredibly staggering. Staggering.
Yeah.
So, and Clemens, I think, other than Randy Johnson, I think Clemens was more dominant for a longer period of time than any pitcher I've ever seen in my lifetime, including Schilling and Randy Johnson. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying he's better than Randy Johnson, but he certainly did it a long time. And yes, a lot of that had to do with the fact that he had a little help recovering from injuries.
Right.
If he doesn't get in, then we start then you have to have another little separate outbuilding where Roger Clemens, Pete Rose, Barry Bonds, and A-Rod all have their.
They all have theirs. It's a shed.
We'll make
out on the side.
We'll put a giant asterisk on the roof.
On the roof, yeah, exactly. These guys could have been inside, but we're going to put a little special little area for them over here. All right, make a prediction now, both of you. Do one or two or three or all four of them get in this year? Or is it going to be a veterans thing if they ever do get in? Clemens, Bonds, Sosa.
If they're not in, if they haven't even got, who's gotten the closest out of them?
Clemens.
Yeah, I think he's the one. I think they hold it against pitchers a little less than they do hitters. I think that's
Schilling's
makes sense.
The furthest.
Schilling hurts himself.
He hurts himself. Schilling hurts himself.
Shouldn't be the case. I
Shouldn't,
disagree.
But he hurts himself.
There's nobody I disagree more in how he sees the world than Curt Schilling. But Curt Schilling was one of the best pitchers to ever pitch in this game and should be in the Hall of Fame, as should Roger Clemens. Yeah. If neither of these guys get in, then then you realize that it has less to do with what you do on the court or on the field and more with what you do off the field. Right. And I don't see this in any other sport. Baseball seems to have this moral this moral high ground that a lot of other sports don't have.
Right. Pete?
Oh, where to start? Okay. I don't think any of them will get in. I think Schilling and Pete Rose, you can't put them in the same little building as Sosa and Clemens and who else?
I'm not sure Sosa should get in, by the way.
Well, but
I hear what you're saying.
There's a debate. I'm
going to put Sosa in the same. I'm going to put Sosa in the same bubble room with Ryan Howard in that respect. But,
okay. Yeah. Fine. Ryan Howard. Yeah. All right. So who are these? So it's Schilling, Sosa, Clemens,
and Barry Bonds.
Okay. I'm a firm believer in what you do on the field should put you in the Hall. Like Pete Rose should be in the Hall because of what he did on the field. Mm-hmm. And he gambled on baseball and he broke a rule and he got, banished, whatever. Right. Schilling he's an asshole, but he's one of the greatest pitchers to ever pitch.
Right.
I don't think he should be kept out of the Hall because he's a jerk.
Right.
And one of arguably his postseason performance is amazing. Yeah,
I'm in agreement with you with that. Yeah. I think we agree on that.
Yeah.
Those guys are different.
Right.
Sosa, okay, you could say he's a bubble, fine. Clemens, he was a great pitcher. He started to decline, and then he got great again because he shot some shit in his ass.
Oh, that's my belief.
Yeah. I know, but that's my belief. And I think Sammy probably did too. And we know Sammy had the corked bat.
Sammy didn't really do anything before he started hitting home runs.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he was okay.
So, these were guys who benefited from those enhancements. And to me, that's I don't think they should go in. I don't think I could never. For me, if I had a vote, I would never vote them in. That's different than being
all four of them.
If it wasn't for steroids,
Schilling
didn't do anything. Yeah. Schilling's not in because he's an asshole. That's why.
Right, that's what I mean, and that's wrong. And Pete Rose is not in because he gambled, and I think that's wrong too. Right. But those guys, I'm convinced that they took performance-enhancing drugs, and I don't. To me, that's not forgivable.
Right. Okay. All right.
That overrides it's what they do on the field. Right. Oh, and Bonds. Look, Bonds was a great player, no question about that. But if there's, he's the poster child for what steroids can do for you, and he became a completely different kind of player. Sure. And that's. And
you know what though? He wouldn't have had the home run record, but he'd be in the Hall of Fame, and he would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, or at least a second ballot Hall of Famer.
Let me ask.
He just stayed on the track he was on without enhancing his performance.
Let me ask you guys a question.
Go for it.
How do we know?
I don't know
so steroids is performance enhancing.
I'm glad you asked that, and I have a. Go ahead.
So steroids is performance enhancing. Is cocaine performance enhancing?
It could be for some
to
people.
A point, yeah. Why not? Yeah.
Okay.
Some people get focus from it and energy.
How many drugs were done by people of all different sorts prior to testing? We don't know who did what. Who knows what Babe Ruth was fucking snorting and sticking up his ass?
You're right about that.
Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor scored at the 50-yard line.
He played some of his best games, probably blasted out of his mind.
Exactly. My point being is
that's a different sport, though.
Is there anybody is there anybody from that steroid era that has made it into the Hall of Fame? I don't think there has been, right?
That proven, no. Thought
the big names. McGuire's not in, right?
McGuire's in it. Well, probably Piazza's probably the furthest, probably the only one that got in that had the most scrutiny over. He probably did, but we really don't have proof, kind of thing. Would have been Mike Piazza.
So why is Piazza's different than somebody like?
They have proof of everybody else. They didn't have proof of Piazza. But Piazza didn't get in his first ballot either. It took him a while. It took him a few years. It took him 5. This might have been his last ballot too, because his last year was 06 or 07. He didn't get until 2016.
Okay.
And
So we're going to have an entire generation of Hall of Famers who are not going to get in the Hall of Fame because of steroids. Okay.
No,
I don't really give a shit about that. I mean, that's fine, but that's your logic to some degree.
no, it's not.
Here's who that's done performing its enhancing drugs do you let in?
Well, it depends on. Go ahead.
If anyone is proven to have used it, like failed the test or whatever, and there's a list of names somewhere, right? But we don't know who they all are. Right. But anybody that's proven to have done it doesn't get in.
Okay.
Now,
so Andy Pettitte doesn't get in. He admitted.
He was using the growth hormone, right?
I don't know.
It was that was a recovery thing. It was a recovery.
And that's
thing.
What
It wasn't like he was juicing with Anadrol.
But that's what Clemens was.
Right.
And Clemens never admitted it. Pettitte admitted it. They were using the same thing.
Right.
Well, I think Clemens was using something else.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys this. And then we'll wrap this up.
Well, but let me make my last point.
All right.
I think in certain cases, like the guys we're talking about here,
right?
To me, it's pretty obvious that they did something.
Right.
And this is not a court of law.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to, in my book, and this is harsh, perhaps, in my book, they don't have to be proven unequivocally guilty.
Mm-hmm.
You could say, oh, this is circumstantial evidence, and we don't really know. To me, bullshit. We know about these guys.
Right.
We know about these guys. It's obvious.
Right.
And that's enough for me to say they don't belong in.
If you look at Barry Bonds,
it doesn't have to be proven to a jury.
So Andy Pettitte doesn't get in.
Yeah. Well, you look at Barry Bonds pre performance PEDs and post. He's a different person. You look at Mark McGwire pre PED and post PED, and he's a different person. You could tell. Yeah. It's not like he ate a bunch of cheeseburgers and worked out and ate a bunch of weight gain.
The pitchers used it to recover from injuries. As did A-Rod.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The other guys, the home run hitters, the Barry Bonds, McGuire's,
Sosa.
Who's the other guy from Oakland who's probably not Hall of Fame, but
Canseco.
All these guys were doing it to get bigger and to bash the ball.
Right.
Giambi.
Sure. Is he brought up on steroid use? No, I don't think so. Giambi's
he was big.
Interesting case.
He's kind of big already anyway.
Yeah. So, I get it, but it seems like there's a little bit of a double standard here, and if Major League Baseball just wants to, they should just say that, look, these guys are not getting in, and stop wasting our time with these, votes.
I don't think you have to do that because it's subjective. It's an opinion, right? The guys that are casting the votes, they have to decide whether this is a big enough deal to keep somebody out.
Well, obviously, there's not going to be enough of a sea change for the people who are voting for this because we're running. A lot of these guys are running out of time, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But there is
those guys. This is their last. But this is their last one.
But then there's the next. Well, yeah, for the. But after the first set of eligibility, you do have the veterans eligibility, which is that's limited too, right? Is that for a certain number of years, or that's forever?
I think that pretty much.
So I mean,
they can put anybody they want in from whatever era they want at that point.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe enough time goes by and they get in. Who knows?
Right.
Maybe it's posthumously. To me, there are certain guys that. It's obvious, or anybody who's on the list. Now, look, Pettitte, I'll agree with you. That's a weird case because, I kind of like Andy Pettitte, even though he was.
That's what I'm saying. Is that Pettitte's a lot more likable than a lot of these other guys.
But you know what? Like I said, this isn't court. I don't have to follow any letter of any law. I only have to follow my instincts, my beliefs, my decisions, and that may be absolutely incredibly unfair, but that's the way the system is.
Right.
Yeah. Who cares?
Okay. All right. On that note,
nothing means anything.
Let me just really quick though. Schilling's an interesting case. All right, and I think it's worth talking about just for 2 minutes. He didn't win 300 games. Okay.
Right.
He won 216 games, lost 146. He had a really respectable earned run average of 3.46. He had over 3,100 strikeouts. Played for almost 20 years. 19 seasons, I think. 98 to 2007. Won
Sounds
three,
about right.
88.
88.
He didn't win the World Series until the end of his career. He won in 01, 04, and 07. Twice with the Red Sox, one with the Diamondbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Three-time World Series champion, 6-time All-Star. Okay, that's good. Is it Hall of Fame? I don't know. 2-time Major League wins leader. Okay, a lot of guys on the bubble. 2-time strikeout leader early in his career. Okay, he was the NLCS MVP in '93.
Yep.
Never. I don't think he's won a Cy Young award. So it's. I think you have to look a little deeper into Curt Schilling. I do think it makes sense when you look at those numbers of why he's a bubble player. I think, though, if you dig deeper into what he did in the postseason, I think that's where I think that's the differentiator for me.
I got you.
Because he was great, but there should be a differentiation between good, great, and Hall of Fame. And maybe we are letting too many people into the Hall of Fame that are on that bubble. Personally, for me, it's the postseason memories with Schilling, and the fact that he and who knows, how did he all of a sudden become a guy who, at the age of whatever it was, at the end of his career, became so dominant?
Right.
He got on a better team.
Yeah.
He played some pretty lousy Phillies teams for a number of years. But they weren't all bad, but
no.
Some of them it was Curt Schilling and who, They were starting to turn the corner as, a couple of years before he left there. And he went to a Diamondbacks team, which wasn't great, but caught fire for one season and won a World Series. He had a little help. He wasn't the best pitcher on that team. So, I think Schilling is closer to obviously an Andy Pettitte than he is a Roger Clemens. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see how they gear him. But whatever there's a lot of, let me put it this way. There's a lot of people who think just like Curt Schilling who are in the Hall of Fame. That's all I'm going to say.
No, you're right on that note. Yeah.
But the voters might also.
But they didn't have a microphone.
If his numbers were overwhelming, then you would probably have voters who go, well, this guy's a real jackass. But just look, but because they're, kind of bubbly or, whatever, certain things are very impressive. Certain things you go, well, he never won the Cy Young or blah, blah, blah. And they go, and he was a jerk. So no. It's not necessarily fair. I'm not saying it was fair, but you know what I mean? Those are the kind of things that influence people.
Was he a jerk? Yes, no. Proceed back to step one.
Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap up the baseball talk then.
It'll be interesting to see. When is that vote?
It's gonna be soon. Yeah. I think they announce it in January, right? Yeah. They announce it about the same time they announced the football one too. So at the Canton. Anyway, okay. That's about it for baseball today. Short 10-minute conversation.
Hey, one covers
I let you guys go on
like
for 45 minutes about the Mets.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. It was more so. All right. Let's switch it up to
get used to
football. Yeah, exactly.
I learn a lot.
Exactly. All right. We're going to start with the quiz, as we always do. All right. A little different. We went first rounders. Obviously, we spread it out a little bit. Obviously, we're going to keep it Jets and Giants for Pete and Harry. But it's going to be best player.
I don't know. Are there another?
No.
Are there another 4 out of 6 Jet players I'm going to want to keep?
Just listen. Best player per decade. Okay.
So this decade, it's obviously Andrew Thomas.
We're not in the 2020s for either team. In fact, we're not in the 2010s. It's the 60s through the 10s for
60s through the 10s.
10s for the Jets. It's the 50s through the 2000s for the Giants. Anyway,
70s, 80s, 90s. LT does it.
so
Okay.
I'm giving you
So
6
I gotta
names.
pick one for each decade.
No, I'm
Oh.
giving you the best player
Oh,
from
okay.
each of those decades. You're going to pick 4 of them and get rid of 2.
Okay, I'm picking
All right,
4 decades. Yeah.
So we'll get rid of we'll start with Pete. We'll get rid of Pete first. I was going to say.
Deservedly so.
Say it. Yeah.
It's on his way out.
I'll do this, and then I'll just go have
He's-
dinner.
I'm
and
voting him off the island.
he's getting tired.
Anyway, there we go.
Did you hear what he said about Andy Pettit? He's got to go.
He's gotta go. All right, here we go. All right, so Pete, your 4 are going to be this: 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. Here we go. One player from each. Joe Namath. I know we just had him last week though, but Joe Namath.
Did I keep him last week?
You didn't.
I did. Okay.
You did not. Yeah. Maybe you keep him this week.
Your schizophrenia could kick in, though.
Joe Namath, Winston Hill, Mark Gastineau, Mo Lewis, Curtis Martin, and Darrelle Revis. So you got three offensive players and 3 defensive players.
Who are the first 3?
Namath,
Namath,
Winston Hill,
Mark
Gastineau, Mo Lewis, Curtis Martin, Darrelle Revis.
Lewis, Revis.
All right, I'll keep Joe Willie and the last 3.
So you're keeping Joe Willie, and you're keeping Mo Lewis, Curtis Martin, and Darrelle Revis.
Yep. Sorry, Gastineau.
Or Winston Hill.
Yeah.
Harry, you want to weigh in on it?
I agree with that, with the exception of I might keep Winston Hill over Lewis.
Okay.
But I like Martin and Revis and Namath.
There you go. All right.
Gastineau definitely took steroids.
I'm pretty sure he did, actually.
Let's face it, it was the mullet that made you guys not pick him at all. So.
Well, he did have
Yeah.
All
All right. So, Harry, let's move on to you.
All right.
Here we go. Okay, you're getting for 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2010s. You're going to wind up with 5 defensive players because that's just the way the Giants roll, and 1 offensive player. So here we go.
God. Okay.
Your players are Emlyn Tennell, Sam Huff, Harry Carson, Lawrence Taylor, Michael Strahan, and Eli. So once again, Emlyn Tennell, Sam Huff.
I'm picking 4.
You're picking 4. Emlyn Tennell, Sam Huff, Harry Carson, Lawrence Taylor, Michael Strahan, and Eli Manning.
I'm taking the first 4.
You're taking Tennell, Huff,
Carson, and LT.
And LT. Pete, you want to weigh in?
Read them all again.
Emlyn Tennell,
Right.
Sam Huff,
Okay.
Harry Carson, Lawrence Taylor, Michael Strahan, Eli Manning.
All right. Strahan's out.
No shit.
We knew that.
I'm shocked. But he's out because of what he did to a guy that you didn't take in your list. So.
True enough.
Who else you dropping?
I will say this. I'll be honest. It was tough between Carson and Eli, but I'm going to stick with Harry Carson.
Gotcha.
All right. Who's left?
LT,
Carson,
Sam Huff, Emlyn Tennell,
and Eli.
All
right. I'll take obviously Carson and
that systems linebacker.
Yeah, that other guy, LT, the other LT,
the other LT. It's not Ladanian. No.
That's right.
I'll keep Tennell and Eli.
Okay, so you're getting rid of Huff.
Yeah,
Huff and Stray. All right.
I like that.
All right, there you go. All right. That's our quiz for tonight. It's not really a quiz. It's more of a opinionated poll isn't
It's
it?
a quiz. There's a right and wrong answer.
All right. Let's move on to.
He got a 75.
Listen, I think there is a right and a wrong answer, and I like to give the wrong answer.
Absolutely.
So people know what it is.
That's right.
So, that's interesting though, because between the two of you,
Pretty close.
Mark Gastineau and Michael Strahan did not make either of your lists.
Yeah.
So there you
We're
go.
usually fairly close.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So we're going to start off with, I got to make an announcement. It was on this day. It might have been yesterday, but I'm pretty sure it was this day, 55 years ago. Okay. That Polk High all-city fullback Al Bundy scored 4 touchdowns, including the game winner from 75 yards out to lead the Panthers to the 1966 championship over Andrew Johnson High. So just wanted to make that announcement. So
Very nice.
anyway.
Al Bundy really played in 1950, 55 years.
1966, yeah.
Wow.
Well, at least it was from the show anyway. So.
Right.
Anyway, okay. What's want to jump into other games? You want to talk about the debacles first?
Let's see. The Jets are bad.
The Jets and Giants both stink when the only person who scores a touchdown
I know.
is your starting left tackle.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about the Giants. Let's start with the Giants. Here we go. All right. First, I want to say this: the Bucs.
They looked okay the first half.
They looked okay for the first minute. That's about it. All right.
But they were down by 7 to the.
Well, they were tied at one point, but then they didn't score another point.
Yeah,
that was
well,
the problem.
no, they were down by 7 at the half to the defending Super Bowl champions.
You have the same rose-colored glasses that I have for the Jets. Whenever I say the Jets didn't look bad, I get this diatribe of how horrible
Well,
they are.
only lost by a touchdown to the 3-6 or 3-7 Miami
Now
Dolphins.
4-7 Dolphins.
Well, they
4-7,
weren't 4-7 until they won.
I know.
That's what I want, right?
Look, both teams stink.
Yeah, they do.
They
And
really do.
All right.
anybody who's listening to Rex Ryan about how
please.
about Daniel Jones is going to light up
No.
Tampa
Let's
Bay.
let's start with
there
this. The
wasn't a
Bucks,
lot of.
the Bucks Giants Monday night game. It was the first game in NFL history with both a touchdown catch and an interception by plus 300-pound players.
No, here's
Really?
Yeah,
Here's-
Andrew Thomas for the Giants caught the touchdown pass, 315 pounds, and Steve McClendon for the Bucks.
the biggest cornerback in the history of the NFL.
I'm pretty sure it was an end, but anyway,
Gotcha.
caught the interception. That well, I mean, look at it this way.
Well,
I mean, if he didn't catch that, he'd have been ridiculed because
They
Daniel
both-
Jones threw it right to him.
They both caught really easy passes right at them. From
if
Daniel
I was half
Jones.
asleep and laying down on the ground, I could have caught that.
Daniel
pass.
Jones likes big boys. Those are the two best passes he threw all night.
Unbelievable. So, but yeah, and that's the other thing too. On both of those, Daniel Jones threw both of those passes.
Yeah, and they were his two best throws all night. Both of those guys were wide open.
He likes big targets. They're
There you
easier
go.
to see.
He likes or needs. What's the difference?
Well, maybe both.
Right.
All right, so let's get to the important
All right.
Giants questions and the news, of course. So
Jason Garrett.
Garrett's gone.
Garrett's gone. He
You
went
guys
bye-bye.
are fine with that, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta, and I want to actually bring this up here. Hold on, I gotta read it. Here we go. Jason Garrett, he obviously was let go yesterday, right?
Right.
The Twitter world exploded after he was let go. I gotta reboot this page, really. Anyway,
I wish somebody else with a G that in their last name went ahead of Garrett or with Garrett.
gotcha. Well, that would have been nice, but here we go. All right, the Twitter world exploded. I'm gonna just read a couple of them. There's a ton of them, but there's some interesting.
Taylor Swift, that sounds interesting.
Taylor Swift. There you go. Well, one guy said the Maras are very close with Jason Garrett. This move couldn't have been easy on them, and pulling the trigger should put everybody else on notice in the building. Absolutely. This one was, the Giants firing Jason Garrett is like the entire mall is on fire, but they focus the hose on Annie Ann's pretzel shop. Okay. And then a reply to that one was, Annie Ann's is delicious. Don't compare the two.
Yeah,
Garrett
I agree.
is
That's
Garrett
the only
is
place I like in the mall.
right. Garrett is the kiosk in the mall that sells useless paid program items.
That's right.
So,
He's the Radio Shack that's been shuttered.
shuttered for 12 years. Right. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
And then which we call, and there was two others. Hold on one second. I never like to see anyone lose their job, but after last night's game, I'm fairly certain that Jason Garrett is still being paid by the Cowboys.
That could be true.
So the Giants hired Jason Garrett as offensive coordinator, and then were disappointed when they realized that they had Jason Garrett as offensive coordinator. That about sums it up. And then, this was it. The second I saw the Giants play where the pocket collapsed on Jones and three receivers were colliding in the same spot last night, I knew either Garrett or Gettleman or both were going to be fired. It was true. And this was the best one. Hold on, let me get to it. Here we go. Shit, where'd it go? It only took. This was an it, but this is another one. It only took 26 weeks for the Giants to figure out the trolling done by the Cowboys with Jason Garrett. So, no, nothing. Silence on that one. There you go. All right.
None of them are wrong.
This
was it. Right? This was the best one.
This doesn't make me happy because I think Jason Garrett could do better if he had better talent and a better head coach.
I don't know if this tweet was actually from the guy in this picture, but this is the one I was looking for. It says, "Yes, I was talking to all, but I was directing this. I was directing this to the Cowboy." I'm not sure why he put that up there, but anyway, this sums up this game for the Giants on Monday night. This picture right here. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that guy on TV on Monday. But
is that Trevor Lawrence?
It might be, but yeah, he was basically saying what he thinks of the Giants. Yes.
Look, this game could have been 45-10. I mean, there's a couple times Tampa Bay, kicked a couple field goals.
Yeah.
The Giants are bad. I've been saying this all along. They keep inserting new parts. I think that I don't necessarily know that there's something sour in the organization. And I think it starts way above Jason Garrett. I am not convinced that Joe Judge is the right coach for this team, and Gettleman has to go.
Yeah.
Because they've been having the same issue with the same positions forever. They've made some really bad decisions in the draft.
I'm glad you brought that up. I want to tell you this really quick right now.
And I watch Micah Parsons play every week, and knowing that the Giants could have had him.
Giants could have had Micah Parsons, right? Let's go back a couple of drafts.
Please do.
All right?
Please do.
In the 2018 draft, they took Saquon Barkley second. Okay? Quentin Nelson. There we go. Quentin Nelson went sixth. They could have had Quentin Nelson. All right. They took Will Hernandez with the 34th pick overall. Okay. Nick Chubb went 35th. So they could have had their lineman and their running back that obviously play better than either of those two guys right now. Right. Unfortunately for Saquon, because he's been injured, of course. But
Saquon's the one pick, though, that most of the experts agreed that the Giants should have taken him with that pick.
Mm-hmm.
After that, though,
before that, it's ridiculous.
There's been some big mistakes.
Anyway, but Garrett was it was a complete misuse of players. The offense was pathetic. Pathetic on Monday night. There was the one TD. I mean, look, they scored 3 points in that game. Okay, they didn't score 10; they scored 3 because that touchdown was a gift because it was a deep in the end in the Bucs territory interception. The Giants had a 5-yard drive, one play, and he tossed it to Andrew Thomas. All right, so I'm taking that off the table. They had 3 points on Monday night. All right, misuse of players left and right. The end of the game, the last 2 downs Daniel Jones was sacked on both of those. There's only one receiver on the field. And was it Kadarius Toney? No. Was it Kenny Galladay? No. Was it Darius Slayton? No. It was a third stringer. It wasn't even John Ross. It was a third stringer. What is he doing with these players? Why are not, if you're trying to get a first down to try and go at least, score something or other towards the end of the game, why are you sitting these guys? Why are they standing on the sidelines? It made no sense.
Yeah.
So Garrett had to go. You're gone. Goodbye. Just go. Bye-bye. Ridiculous. So, anyway.
Here's my question to you guys. Mm-hmm. It seems pretty obvious to me that by taking Saquon Barkley, the Giants I want to find the right metaphor. Put the cart before the horse, I guess, would be the right metaphor. Right?
Yeah,
they didn't have
absolutely.
a solid offensive line for him
No.
to run behind,
Nope,
and he's
not
been
at all.
hurt. Okay,
Mhm.
but as far as a pick, and I'll take your word for it, Harry. A lot of people said it was a good pick. Don LaGreca disagrees, but and
Well, it's easy to disagree now.
Well, no, he has disagreed vehemently since day one. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's entertaining to listen to, but isn't that really what they're guilty of these past few years? Is just not being able to build a solid line at any point. I mean, these are good weapons, with the exception of Daniel Jones, aren't they?
Well, that's the elephant in the room. Okay, that Daniel Jones will go down as the worst first-round draft pick the Giants have ever made, ever.
But
now,
is it because he's really terrible, or because they can't protect him?
Hold on. If you look at the Giants' offensive line play, especially in the last, let's say, 5-6 weeks, it has been way better than it has been last year or in the beginning of the season. If you look at some of the sacks that Daniel Jones took in this game, I only put one on the offensive line. Okay, all the other rushes and hurries, he does not look off defenses. He does not know how to read one and make audibles at the line of scrimmage. No. He does not know how to use Kyle Rudolph or Saquon Barkley out of the backfield when they're putting pressure on him. And yes, they're putting pressure on him, but other quarterbacks, like the one he was playing against, when the Giants' defense, which is a whole other problem.
Yeah, it's another issue.
Okay,
didn't Barkley have like 6 or 8 catches the other day?
Right, but what I'm saying is that I'm not sure it's only the offensive line. But yes, there is a personnel problem on the offensive line. The Giants have, after 2 decades of having really good offensive lines, have had going on almost a decade and a half of having absolutely one of the worst offensive lines in football consistently.
So when you say they've been playing better, is that they were abysmal and now they
just suck?
Or they were okay but not good, and now they're at a point where the team.
I don't think the offensive line are the only people that go out there and look like they're completely lost. The Giants, on paper, have way more talent at the receiver position for them to be this bad, and I'm not sure Saquon Barkley, even with Tampa Bay's offensive line, is going to do what other backs are doing. I think that they do not have an offense in place that takes advantage of both the strengths and weaknesses of their offense.
Well, that was
in other words, they need to be running New England's offense for Daniel Jones to have any chance of succeeding.
Here's the thing: Freddie Kitchens, when he was the manager, when he was the head coach, when he was the offensive coordinator, or when he was calling the plays, whether that was when he was head coach or not, I don't know, when it was in Cleveland. But Baker Mayfield had his best season when Freddie Kitchens was calling the play. Right. Whether it was when he was offensive coordinator or whether he was head coach, I forget. Right. But he had his bet. He was still calling the plays. So they got 7 games now with Freddie Kitchens as the offensive coordinator. Let's see what happens. Because there's not going to be any excuses. They can't just say, okay, it's the end of the season, and they let Garrett go then, and what do we got in Daniel Jones? If they actually have, and who knows what Freddie Kitchens is going to do. I'm not saying he's a savior by any means, but if he is going to be able to expand upon, he's not going to change the playbook, right? But he's going to be able to expand upon it, move things around, work a little bit better, call the right plays. Maybe the plays are there, and Garrett just wasn't calling the right ones at the time for each down. So he's going to work at it. Maybe they work their way out, and maybe they don't win games, but they play better, and we can actually tell, or they can actually tell at that point whether it's going to be worth it. And we'll see what is up with Daniel Jones, because I got to tell you, if the rest of the season goes the way he played on Monday night, he's gone. He'll be back up to whoever they draft this year.
No, I don't think he'll be gone unless Gettleman's gone, and that is the problem.
Gettleman's gone.
Gettleman's has to be gone. But
Gettleman's
John, or how much are you willing to bet he's gone?
Gettleman's gone. I guarantee you.
I'll take your word for it.
I'm going to tell you why. Jason Garrett means more to the Giants and the Giants organization than Dave Gettleman does, and they just fired him the other day. Okay, Jason Garrett goes back to his father worked for the Giants. Okay, Jason Garrett is as close-knit homer of an organization as the Giants are. The Giants fired the son of a brother of a you know what I mean, like a legacy kind of
Legacy aside, if you're
David Gettleman does not fit that bill. So he doesn't. He's part of the Giants organization, has been for many years, but he doesn't, and was before he left and everything else. But he doesn't. He's not as ingrained in the organization as Jason Garrett was, and they let him go. That's why Dave Gettleman is leaving. I guarantee you.
Legacy aside, all right, and I mean this, and
they might not make the best decision to replace him with. It might be another.
Anybody's better. Anybody's better.
Right.
Legacy,
knockwood.
Legacy aside, if you'd take Gettleman, Judge, Garrett, and I'm having a brain fart. Who's the Giants' defensive coordinator right now?
Patrick Graham.
Okay, take those 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's today's quiz.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you keep?
Of those 4,
Jason Garrett.
Of those 4,
yes. I keep Jason Garrett.
Of those 4, yeah, I probably do keep Jason Garrett, to be honest with you, but I don't ever want him on him.
This is the problem with the Giants.
Yeah, let me ask you guys this question.
That's the problem with the Giants.
What part of what the Giants do is Joe Judge responsible for?
He's the head coach. He's responsible for all of it, other than the talent that he has to on the field.
So doesn't he have to go?
Well, keep this in mind.
I've been saying that for 2 years.
Keep this in mind, though. Joe Judge handpicked his entire coaching staff, and he's worked with every single one of those people before, except for Jason Garrett. So there you go. Everybody, he has a connection to. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying.
So all of the
so here's his chance. Here's his chance. Here's his chance to prove himself that it was Jason Garrett and not him and his philosophy and his people. Here's his chance. He's got 7 games to prove that he's. Look, they're not getting rid of Joe Judge either.
Here's your point. Here's to your point is that Garrett is linked to the Giants' ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Judge, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, and everybody else under the Judge coaching tree is linked to Gettleman.
Yep.
Gettleman has greater power on this team than the Giants ownership does. That's the problem. I am not convinced Dave Gettleman's gone. I am not convinced.
I will put money on it. He's gone.
I hope you're right. But if Gettleman's gone, then I think Joe Judge is gone, and everybody else.
I don't think that they're actually going to come out at the end of the season and say we've fired Dave Gettleman. I think they're going to come out at the end of the season, and Dave Gettleman is going to announce his retirement. I think that's what you're going to.
Why would he?
Because they're going
save face.
Same thing that they did with Tom Coughlin. Tom Coughlin wasn't fired; he retired. But he was retired. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was retired.
He was retired. They retired him. So they're not going to fire Gettleman. They're going to retire him. That's what's going to happen.
Why make this move with Garrett, though, now? Is this just Joe Judge trying to finally have his final say?
Well, whatever. But at least here's the thing. Look, Garrett wasn't going to stay after this year anyway. If they kept going down this road, unless they blew up the next 7 games and won out, he was not staying. All right?
He's going to get rid of him now. Of the Mets.
Well, maybe he will be. Get rid of him now.
All right with that.
Now here's Joe Judge's chance with his guys and Freddie Kitchens calling the plays and everything else. He doesn't bring anybody else in. He's got a built-in guy that can move up and take care of play calling. That's his guy. Here's his chance to actually do, to prove that he's the right guy for this job. And I really don't think, regardless of whether Gettleman does go or not, or whatever happens, even if the Giants lose out the rest of the season, I don't think they're going to make another coaching change. They'll stick with Joe Judge. But I really do think that Gettleman's going. I think Gettleman's going. Judge is staying. They might move a couple of other coaches around.
That's Gettleman's legacy that lingers behind. I think we've got
Barkley.
I think we've got at least another 2 years of an injured Saquon Barkley coming in and out of the lineup, and right. Daniel Jones and Joe Judge.
Well, that depends on what happens the rest of the season, right? I mean,
when is Jones's contract up?
Next year. This is his 3rd year. No, he's after next year, and he's got an option for a 5th. So he's there next year. But here's my thing.
How much do you think the Giants exercise that option on Daniel Jones?
I don't know. It depends on what happens. Here's my thing. If Freddie Kitchens comes in and starts calling plays, because he did call a couple of games last year. One of them they did really well. One of them they didn't. The one that they didn't do well in was Colt McCoy was in
sure
at backup. So, but in any event, Here's his chance. If they actually do call the right plays, and the offense does start to click, and they start to utilize the talent that they have around them, and they call the right plays for the advantages and the deficiencies and everything else that we were just talking about before, I think I mentioned before. If they actually do call the right plays, and they actually do play good games, win or lose, play good games, solid games. They're in every game. They're moving the ball. They're not anemic and pathetic like they were the other night. It actually is completely different look to it. And Daniel Jones is part and parcel of that, and he's actually, wow, he can actually do that? Maybe it really was Jason Garrett. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but let's hypothetically say that does happen. All right, well, maybe we give Jones another year and take a look at what happens next year and everything else. But we got to build the trenches, and they have to do that. They have to do that. They have to build the trenches. And don't even get me started on the defense, because they're such Jekyll and Hyde. It's ridiculous. I don't know whether Patrick Graham is a genius or an idiot. Because, I mean, one week they look ridiculously phenomenal. The next week they look like they're not even there. I don't get it. Logan Ryan was the only one that wasn't playing last week on Monday night. All right, from the games that that they did have better defensive showings. You want to tell me one player on defense that's a defensive back is going to make that big of a difference? I don't know. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. I think that's what's going to come. It's going to come down to the next 7 games. It's going to come down to the rest of the season and how they play the cards out with what they have to work with Freddie Kitchens calling the plays instead of Jason Garrett in there. Something had to do. They had to show the fans that they were doing something, that they weren't just sitting there saying, "Oh, let's see what happens."
Let me ask you this question: what makes you so high on Kitchens?
I'm not high on Kitchens. I'm not.
No,
I'm saying.
Let me give you Kitchens' resume.
I got
all right.
you.
Running backs coach for the Browns in 2018. After Week 8, they made him offensive coordinator.
Right.
And they fired Todd Haley, and they finished 5-3. And Mayfield was runner-up for NFL Rookie of the Year. Then he became a head coach, and he sucked. So how does that, other than him, I guess, being Joe Judge's guy, why would he be Joe Judge's guy?
Because they worked together in college.
Okay. So other than being Joe Judge's guy, he hardly has a resume as a successful offensive
not at all.
I don't care what Baker Mayfield did in that half a season.
No, not at all. I'm just saying that he was able to call plays. Stepping in halfway through a season, he was able to call the right plays to actually help the offense to whatever degree. Yeah. My point in saying that was I'm not high on Freddie Kitchens by any means. I didn't even want him to hire him for the job he had.
He's also
how are the Giants?
He's also 20 years younger than I thought he was.
How are the Giants tight ends this year?
Yeah. Well, he was their tight ends coach.
He was the tight ends coach. Yeah.
He's been all over the place. This guy just takes jobs no matter what.
Whatever it is. Yeah, he's water boy for like 2 teams before that.
He is the Dwight Schrute of NFL coaches. You know?
But my point is it's a change. It's a change. And it's one that actually can either help or hurt the offense. And they had to do something. So let's see. I'm just saying, let's see what happens. So obviously we're going to watch. We're going to see what they're going to do. But, are they going to come out? Any change spurs on a little bit.
What is the offensive identity of this team?
There is none.
Yeah.
There is none.
So, I mean,
they have the best weapons on paper in the damn league.
No. I'll tell you what their offensive identity is. They kick more field goals than any other team in the NFL.
They come away with 3 points instead of 7 more than any other team.
Whenever they get the ball across the 50-yard line, they're going to kick a field goal. Yeah. Or at least it's like
what? But I mean, realistically, what can you expect from him to do?
I don't expect him to do anything other than be different than Jason Garrett. That's all I'm saying. So let's see what happens. Let's see how Daniel Jones and the rest of the offense react to this. And if the play calling actually does help or hurt either way, my point is, let's see what happens. Let's see what,
But if he doesn't...
Not going to be able to make decisions for the rest of the year based on right now. It's just a difference. That's all it is.
No, but he's got how many games left?
Seven.
Seven to prove that, he's got something, right? Otherwise, I mean...
This isn't Freddie Kitchens auditioning for the offensive coordinator job. This is just a change at the offensive coordinator job for play calling
Yeah, but you don't make a change just for making change.
Right.
You make a change because the guy you're going to put in there is going to be successful.
Well,
and
it's like what Harry just said before. Harry said when I said that I think they're definitely going to get rid of Gettleman. I don't know what they're going to pick to put in his place, and Harry said anybody will be better. Well, maybe they're using the same philosophy on offensive coordinator.
Right, but what year did Gettleman take over as the head decision maker for the Giants draft? What year was that?
This is his.
He was around. He was around for the Eli Apple picks, right?
No. Eli Apple was Jerry Reese.
Okay.
Gettleman's first year. Gettleman got hired in December 2017. So his first draft was Saquon Barkley, the first pick he ever picked as a Giants.
So he wasn't even involved with the Evan Ingram pick.
No, that was Jerry Reese.
Okay.
Yeah, his first pick was 2018 was Saquon Barkley.
Okay. So let me just go through, because that's not that much. Let me go through the picks that the Giants have had. Okay.
Mm-hmm. With
Dave Gettleman, Saquon Barkley, Will Hernandez, Lorenzo Carter, B.J. Hill, Kyle Lauletta, and R.J. McKinnish. Okay, I'm not even sure anybody other than the first two are still playing in the NFL. Okay,
Kyle Lauletta is somewhere else, but
somewhere else.
He's back as a third stringer somewhere.
In 2019, I think they had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 draft picks. Mm-hmm. Okay, Daniel Jones, Dexter Lawrence, and DeAndre Baker were all taken in the first round.
Dexter Lawrence. Where's Dexter Lawrence?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, Dexter Lawrence is a good player. Why keep him?
Right. Out of all of them, so I guess they figured, let's just pick everybody with a D in the first. Okay. O'Shawnee Ziminis, Julian Love, Ryan Connolly, Darius Slayton. Okay. 5th round pick. Giants have always been good at getting wide receivers deep in the draft.
Slayton's probably the best pick Gettleman's made for the Giants.
Yes, but he's been wildly inconsistent, like all their receivers.
Right. But
Corey Ballantyne,
he's the best one.
Corey Ballantyne, who played decent for a little while there. Mm-hmm. I think he's gone now, right? Wasn't he traded?
He was traded.
Yeah. Okay. So again,
think so anyway.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Okay. And then Chris Slayton, another defensive tackle. Okay. 7th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
2020.
2020. Andrew Thomas, who I actually think was a good pick. Okay.
I still say they should have taken Tristan Wirfs.
Of course. But out of all of these, this is the best pick the Giants have taken under Gettleman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, he caught a touchdown the other night.
Right. He's their best. He's their best deep threat. Xavier McKinney, Matt Peart. No, not Neil Peart. Matt Peart.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I don't even think he's playing. Darnay Holmes.
No, he rotates in an offensive line.
Shane Lemieux. Mm-hmm. Cam Brown, Carter Coughlin, T.J. Brunson, Chris Williamson, and Tay Crowder. I think he's playing for the Phoenix Suns. Okay. Now.
Don't forget Kyle Lauletta.
No, that was a couple years ago. Yeah, I already named him. Yeah.
Okay. Tay Crowder is still on the Giants. He still plays.
Right.
He's in fact, I believe he's one of the captains on the defense right now. And he was Mr. Irrelevant, by the way.
Right. So this past year, Kadarius Toney. Okay. Should he not be doing more than he's doing?
A little bit.
Yeah. And he seems to not really know what's going on when he's on the field, like most of the receivers. Okay. Alajari or Ajulari.
Azeez Ojulari, yeah.
Good player, but is he playing right now?
Yeah, he's playing.
Okay. Aaron Robinson, Ellerson Smith, Gary Brightwell, Rodarius Williams.
These are all practice squad guys right now. Or cut. A couple of them were cut.
So, and some of these were pretty obvious. Like Kadarius Toney was rated very high. Mm-hmm. Okay. There was others that the Giants.
Apparently, Urban Meyer cried that he couldn't get Kadarius Toney.
But the Giants also, if you remember, traded down and passed up a lot of. I like
Kadarius Toney. I would rather have Micah Parsons.
Right.
Sorry,
that's my point. So,
I would rather have Micah Parsons and not the extra first-round draft.
And football's not only about the draft. Football's not only about the draft.
It's not. But he's going to wind up being the friggin' defensive rookie of the year for the Cowboys when he could have been a Giant. Just saying.
I agree.
And you know what? Maybe they wouldn't have been winning more games, but the defense would be a little bit better. Just saying that.
Yeah. here's one thing about the defense.
Mhm.
The Giants, I think, are the only team that never change up their defensive back scheme. They between their corners and their safeties, there is at least 10 to 15 to 18 yards of space in underneath every down.
Yep.
Tom Brady picked them apart. There
Yep.
was nothing. They showed nothing different.
The Giants play
The whole
prevent
game.
defense from the coin flip in the beginning of the game. They play prevent defense.
If you are any quarterback in the NFL,
Dink
other
and
than
dunk,
Daniel
dink
Jones,
and dunk your way to win.
and you have a 3rd and 4, the Giants are basically saying, "Go ahead, just don't score on us, but we're going to let you."
We're going to let you march down the field, and then we're going to give you a good goal line and make you just kick 3 points. That's it. That's what the philosophy is, and it's so freaking ridiculous. I'm going to give you
frustrating.
I'm going to give you another really crazy stat. Ready? Daniel Jones is now 0-8 in primetime games for his career. Okay, that's the first time any quarterback. Okay, that is the first time that any quarterback at any point in their career went 0-8 in an 8-game stretch in primetime games since Jeff George did in the mid-90s. Okay,
we all
like
know
30
that's
years ago. Okay, but and that wasn't his start of his career. Daniel Jones, this is the worst start for primetime games for a quarterback's career, 0-8. And I'm going to go you one better. Daniel Jones is not only 0-8 in primetime games, he's 0-12 in any game that he's started that started at 4:25 or later. So unless he's only won games that start at 1 o'clock. That's it. That's it. He's only won games that start at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's the only games he's won. Anyway. So.
Look, I don't put this on Daniel Jones because I think anybody who knows anything about football realized the minute that draft pick came out. I remember where I was when I heard it. I was like, what? What? Who?
Right.
I don't.
Well, they were going to take a quarterback because if they didn't take Daniel Jones, they were taking Dwayne Haskins. And what's he doing right now?
Well, I get it, but my point.
They were taking a quarterback. That was, it was a given. They were taking Eli's heir apparent.
But this is, and they're going to ride this out. Trust me, it's going to be another 2 years of Daniel Jones, and it's going to probably be another 2 years of Joe Judge. This is an organization that there's something going on there, and I'm not quite sure what it is. I hope you're right, John. I hope that Gettleman's gone, but I will not hold my breath. The over-under
so
on
you
that.
You guys are split on Gettleman. Where you both think Judge is going to survive?
Yeah,
Judge will be a head coach at least next year, if not 2 years. But
I think he's more likely to go if Kitchens fails as offensive coordinator.
He's not. Judge isn't going anywhere. Judge isn't going anywhere.
He might. And my reasoning is
they're not blowing up the entire ship again. 2 years again. 2 years. 2 years. 2 years. They're not doing it. They have enough faith, even though it's maybe diminishing as the weeks go by. There's still enough faith in Joe Judge, I think, just with a new GM, a new offensive coordinator, get the ship righted. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm saying that's what John Mara's thinking. Okay, so that's where I think they're at. I think Gettleman's going after the season. They'll get another offensive coordinator in there, depending on if Freddie Kitchens just blows it up and is phenomenal.
Yeah, but then you're going to bring in a new GM, and he's not going to have his coach, which is a situation we've seen on a number of teams, and it never works out.
I don't think Gettleman's going anywhere.
Unless
either
the GM is hired with Joe Judge involved in the hiring process.
Gettleman's not going anywhere.
Well, yeah, but
Gettleman, Judge, and Jones are here for the next 2 years.
We'll see.
I think either they both go or they both stay.
We'll see.
And I think it depends on how Freddie Kitchens does. Because if he's Joe Judge's pick for OC and he fails, then that's just another failure.
OC,
Joe
OC hasn't played in years.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Come on, that's the one piece of football jargon I know. OC.
Not DC. OC.
No.
All right.
That's right. That's what I think. I think they both go, they both stay.
All right. Let's flip it over to the Jets for a minute.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Okay, that's it.
They didn't look horrible, though.
They really didn't. I'm going to point out something. Elijah Moore, 141 yards rushing. 141 yards rushing. That's the most rushing yards that a Jet running back has had in one game since Rob Moore in 1990 ran 175 yards in one game.
You mean receiving?
Receiving, rather.
Yeah.
Receiving. Did I say running? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Receiving. Yeah.
Means
Receiving.
nothing. He had a really good game. They'll ruin him just like they ruin everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish he was a running back because Carter's hurt.
Really.
So they need somebody.
I meant receiver. So I'm reading three things ahead, and it's running back.
No.
I was reading, so I apologize. But yeah, receiving. Elijah Moore, 141 yards receiving. That's the most receiving yards since Rob Moore had 175 in 1990. Anyway, one other stat for you. The Jets are 0-10 in AFC East games over the last 2 seasons. Okay? They're the only team to not win a game against another AFC East opponent in that same time frame. The Dolphins have won against the AFC East, so was the Bills and the Pats. Of course, all of that was the Jets that they were beating, but it's ridiculous. Anyway.
Look, here's the really disheartening thing if you're a Jets fan and maybe a Jets player or a Jets coach. There's no reason to think they're going to be particularly better when their starting quarterback comes back.
Which is probably going to be Sunday.
Yeah, because Zach Wilson was pretty terrible. Now, maybe, certainly I hope he's been doing his homework and watching film, and maybe he's going to learn a few things, and he has a little time away from the game. And he'll come in and, not continue to make the same kind of mistakes he's making. But until that happens, look, a lot of rookies have bad seasons, right? Especially quarterbacks who get thrown to the wolves.
Or is he going to play this week?
Yeah,
maybe. I think so. Yeah.
Most
likely. Solid McCoy the other day. He's coming back. He's practicing. We'll see how he looks.
He'll probably wind up playing on Sunday.
A lot of rookie quarterbacks have bad first years. He's having a really terrible go of it. Not what you want. I don't. The hype gets pumped and pumped and pumped, right? The closer you get to the draft and the more the team has a commitment. And so, of course, they're pumping him up. And the media loves to pump him up, right? Because that's how you get clicks and this and that. I didn't think he was going to be a guy who was going to come in and necessarily have one of those, not be great right off the bat. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But there are certain players even as rookies, you look at and you go, oh, yeah, like Joe Burrow, right? He's got it. Able to overcome, Cincinnati was maybe a little better team than the Jets, last year when he started, but not a whole lot. They weren't expected to do very much, right?
No,
he was the big reason they were good.
Right.
He was the reason they were good,
right?
I wasn't expecting that from Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
But, the longer he's on a lousy team, the more the bad habits build. And, this is going to be, if they don't get it right with him, if they cannot develop him, and that's what it's all about, right? It's not about waiting for his talent to emerge. It's about developing him and what we always say, putting him in the best position to succeed and all that stuff. Yeah. If they can't do that with yet another quarterback,
right?
You set the franchise back a number of years.
You're right. And I did forget to do this before we started talking.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, this is an interesting question for this week.
Win today? No. I mean yes. I mean no. I mean yes. I mean no. I mean yes. I mean no.
What do you think?
Might actually have some yeses this week. Interesting. Very interesting game for a game between two lousy teams. This could be
Tyrod Taylor did, play the part last week. I mean, he did have a game. We'll say
he is capable of having a game every now and then.
Let's let me ask this. So now that we're talking about the Texans, let me just bring that up. What was the biggest upset game-wise this past weekend? What do you think? Do you think was it the Texans and the
Texans over the Titans? I mean, that's
22-13 Texans over the Titans. You think that was the biggest?
I mean, Vikings over the Packers, but we know the Vikings were better than their record, and the Packers have been suspect at times.
Right. Colts over the Bills.
I mean, that was a big big.
That was a big blowout, but
that was a real lopsided score. So,
but the Colts, you know what though? Here's the thing too: the Colts have lost 2 or 3 games in the last second. All right, the Colts have lost 2 or 3 games in the last second, so their record should be 2 or 3 games better. Or if the ball falls, one way or another, you know what I'm saying. But in any event, I think the Texans over the Titans.
Yeah, the Texans is the biggest upset. Although the Titans are obviously playing without their entire offense,
right?
So, but yeah, that was definitely, I think, the biggest upset.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Couple other points, really quick. Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm just gonna throw it out there really quick. Let's not talk too long about it. I think it's Micah Parsons. Does anybody disagree with that? Or?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it enough, but probably not.
Yeah. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jonathan Taylor from the Colts. I mean, he had 7,500 yards rushing last week against the Bills. So I think that's what we're looking at.
I don't know.
I mean,
I might put Mac Jones in that mix.
Mac Jones,
if they win the division,
yeah, I agree with that.
He's obviously been the best rookie quarterback that were taken in the first round out of the 6 or 5 or 6 or whatever they are. But and I agree with that, and I've said that. But he has his skill set is really good as far as game manager, and that's been working very well for them.
I don't know. He had some zingers.
No, he's had a few zingers, but it's not like he has
up now.
It's not like he has. It's not like he's blowing it. It's not like he's throwing 400 yards every game and he's just lighting it up. He's not.
But
some games he's throwing 108. Right, exactly. That's my point. He's managing the game. Jonathan Taylor is just running everywhere. I think Mac Jones is going to be in the discussion, but I think Jonathan Taylor at this point anyway. This is only the 7 games.
Well, if Taylor continues to stomp all over everybody, and who's got the defense to really successfully limit him, right. If he puts up the gaudy numbers, then it'll probably be him. But I mean, Mac Jones is a quarterback.
Right.
He's doing a lot more than just running.
This is true.
Although I agree with you. Yes, they have brought him along slowly, and they are starting to open things up. But he's got, 7 or 8 games. They're at 7-4 or so. So he's got
another 6 games.
Jonathan Taylor.
They haven't had their bye. They haven't had their bye.
So he's got, a number of games to Mac Jones to, increase his numbers too. But Taylor's numbers could just be so gaudy that he's almost,
he's already got 13 touchdowns. Just crazy. 1,122 yards. And what do we have? How many games left for him?
11. So
7.
So he's got
6.
7 more games. I mean,
6 more games.
6. Okay. So I mean,
he could be looking at. I mean, he has a couple of performances he has the last couple of weeks. He could be looking at a 2,000-yard season.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for I don't think he'll get 2,000.
I mean, if he has a few more,
1,500, it seems.
He'll get the 1,500. Yeah,
we'll see.
Anyway, I got a couple of interesting facts. I'll blow through them quickly. Ben Roethlisberger on the West Coast, playing West Coast teams.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's 1-7.
Yeah,
1-7.
That.
He's only thrown 10 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. He's got an 84-ish rating. He won his first game playing on the West Coast. Hasn't won a game since. Last time the Falcons were shut out at home, 1988. What else? Titans. Makes absolutely no sense. They're 8-2, or they were 8-2. 7-0 against playoff teams from last year. This season, they're 7-0 against playoff teams from last year, but they lost to the Jets and the Texans. I mean, does it make any sense?
No, if it made more sense, then people would be winning a lot more money betting on games.
That's true too. Here's one that's really funny. Since the start of 2020, okay, Baker Mayfield has had 79 rushing attempts, 254 yards rushing, and 2 rushing TDs. Baker Mayfield, okay? So has Saquon Barkley, the exact same numbers. 79 rushing attempts, 254 yards rushing, two TDs, two
Yeah.
TDs. So
Baker Mayfield's been on the field a lot longer. That's for
this
sure.
is very true.
Well, let me throw you a couple numbers about Jonathan Taylor. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games over 100 yards, and a couple of those are between 100 and 110.
Right.
Last week was the most carries he's ever had, 32
Okay.
for 185 yards. Before that was 21 against the Jaguars. He had 116. 19 carries against the Jets. 19 for 172.
19 carries for 172.
Playing the Jets and Giants really does make everybody feel a lot better about themselves.
And against the Texans, 14 carries for 145 yards.
There you go. There you go.
Seahawks. The Seahawks held him to 56 and 17. The Rams held him. He had 15 carries there for 50 yards. The Titans, he only had 10 carries in their week 3 meeting. So,
but most of those bigger games have been lately.
Ravens,
and they've been winning when they're taking the ball out of Carson Wentz's hands and putting it in Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I mean anything where, let's see, their wins. He had 16, 14, 18, 19, 21, and 32 carries. So
clearly they gotta put the ball in his hand.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, he's run it up against some. I mean, I don't know if the Bills' run defense is really that bad, but they couldn't stop him. But I mean, he's run it up against the Jaguars and the Jets and the Texans.
Yep.
The Ravens kind of shut him down. The Titans.
This week will be a good test.
It'll be a good test for him.
We will see. I got 2 other interesting stats for you, and then we'll move on to some other stuff. Lamar Jackson versus Jalen Hurts. Okay. All right. First 15 career starts for each. All right. Lamar Jackson's. This is for the first 15 career starts for both of them. Lamar Jackson, 4,120 yards total offense. Jalen Hurts, 4,115 yards total offense. Lamar Jackson, 26 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts, 29 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, 12 turnovers. Jalen Hurts, 11 turnovers. And Lamar Jackson, 213 first downs. Jalen Hurts, 209 first downs. Clearly, this is putting Jalen Hurts in the same category with Lamar Jackson. Do you?
No.
What was the question? Sorry.
Clearly, this is
by my damn wiener kid.
Damn wiener kid. This is clearly this is putting Lamar Jackson. This is putting Jalen Hurts in the same category with Lamar Jackson. Do you agree with that or no?
No, Lamar Jackson has done it for how many years?
Did you hear the stats I just said?
I think Jalen Hurts, though.
Well, what is it? The first 4 starts?
Where's
15 starts.
Where's
15
the
starts.
consistency in there, though? That's my.
Well,
How many starts does Jalen?
And what are their records?
Well, I'm not talking about now. You're not comparing him. You're not comparing Jalen Hurts now to Lamar Jackson now. This is just the comparison of the first 15 games. Clearly, I'm asking you if there is this upside, this Lamar Jackson upside to Jalen Hurts. Lamar Jackson,
Jalen Hurts.
they have very similar stats for their first 15 starts.
Oh, okay.
They're. I just said it when you were.
I heard he has a couple more touchdowns. Their yards are virtually the same.
Their yards are virtually the same. He has 3 touchdowns more, 1 turnover less, and the first downs are only a couple less. So they're virtually the same stats for the first 15 starts.
So what is the question?
The question is, do you think Jalen Hurts continues to proceed in this direction and is Lamar Jackson-esque? Or do you think this is just like kind of a fluke to start his first 15 starts for his career? Just a question.
Well, neither.
I agree.
I mean, I find it hard to believe he's going to have the same level of kind of sustained success of Lamar Jackson, although, he hasn't won a Super Bowl or anything like that yet. But
Gotcha.
I don't think it's a fluke either.
Right.
I think they're similar in that they both have intangibles that don't really get calculated very well. I mean, with Lamar Jackson, it's obviously the rushing yards that he's able to put up that just is insane. But if you look at based on total QBR, Jalen Hurts has been the number one rated quarterback in the NFL over the past 5 weeks.
Yeah, he has been.
So, he's here's an interesting stat on Jalen Hurts. He's only 15 for 42 on throws that travel 20 yards or more, which ranks 23rd in the NFL. So
he's getting it done with short passes that yards after catch.
But
there's a game manager who runs.
No, I don't. I wouldn't really necessarily say he's a game manager. I think he has some of those intangibles that Lamar Jackson has as well. Lamar Jackson, though, at times can have a stinker of a game. Yeah, but he could do that for three and a half quarters, then all of a sudden
just takes off and wins the game. Yeah.
Right.
So
I think that Lamar Jackson's intangibles are greater than Hurts, but Jalen Hurts has proven he's kind of in the right spot, and he's definitely getting better as he's played more games.
Yeah, I agree.
And we'll probably see also, I mean, I don't know who's left on the schedule, but when you play the Ravens defensively, what do you do? What do you scheme for?
You scheme for
stopping Lamar Jackson.
Stopping Lamar Jackson, yeah.
Probably now Jalen Hurts is going to be, if he's not already entering that territory, it's going to be very shortly.
Well,
every team, because what else does Philly have?
And what team are they playing this week?
I don't know who they're playing this week.
The Eagles are playing the Giants this week.
Okay, there you go.
So
every defense should be at this point scheming, how do we stop Jalen Hurts?
Right. And
we'll see how he does because, look at Jackson's rookie season and second season.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of a difference.
Gotcha.
I mean, that's true of anybody, right?
No, yeah.
Hot young hitter comes into baseball and nobody knows what he does, or you wonder, is he getting lucky? How is he really that good? And then people start to figure him out. Same thing, offense and defense.
Yeah. All right, I got one scoring anomaly that I want to throw out there, but then we'll move on. The Colts. And we're talking about Jonathan Taylor. The Colts have 2 weeks ago they played the Jets and beat the Jets 45-30. And this past Sunday, they played the Bills and beat the Bills 41-15. Both of those final scores have never happened before in the NFL. There's never been a final 45-30 or 41-15 final score in the NFL before.
41-15 sounds a lot less likely than the
15
latter.
Yeah. Well, no, like 30 you normally get. I mean, 30 can happen obviously, but no, you normally get like 31. If there's a touchdown and four touchdowns and a field goal or whatever, and whatever. I'm just saying that they're odd numbers. The 45, you're right. The 45-30 doesn't sound as odd as the 41-15 does, but regardless, the place I pulled it off of, I didn't actually go back for 100 and some odd years of
you didn't go back and look at every score of every game.
Every score of every game. So I'm taking the wire that I pulled it off of for their, resting on their laurels or whatever. But according to that, those two scores have never happened before, and the Colts have done it in the two of the last 3 weeks. So,
well, there was a 40-15 playoff game in the it was an AFL playoff game, and
that's a different score.
32, but
it's a different score.
No 41-15.
Exactly. All right, let's move on. I actually got. You know what? We'll do that. We'll do that one next week. I got 2 other quick segments, but
there's nothing quick about this.
Well, no. This one's really quick, and it has to happen.
We still got a top 10 in our picks to go. I'm not sure I'm going to make it, guys.
we'll do them quick. This one, we'll save the other one for next week.
We're not even 2 hours in yet.
I know. What are you talking about? We'll save the one for next week. But this one, we'll start that one next week because it's actually a good one. We'll have it going. It's a segment. We'll do it every week. But we'll start it next week. But this one I got to ask because it doesn't make any sense not to do it today. I need both of you to tell me what's your favorite Thanksgiving NFL football memory.
Lawrence Taylor's interception run back for a touchdown.
Okay.
That time the Lions won.
When was that?
1976.
Lawrence Taylor's touchdown run was definitely up there, but just in general, mine are just, watching a Lions game and Pat Summerall and John Madden giving out the six-legged turkey.
Yeah, the turkey with a lot of legs is probably, I remember that more than any game.
Yeah, that's mine. So there you go. See, nice and quick. All right.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, I think we got to do some picks, huh?
Boy.
All right.
Yeah, I guess so.
So let's do some beaten by the coin. Beaten by the coin.
Beaten by the coin.
I'm sure I'll lose to the coin.
No one wants to be beaten by the coin.
All right. We'll start as we always do as a quick recap from last week.
I got the.
You guys went 5-0. I went 3-2. The coin went 2-3. Now this week.
There you go. On the screen.
Yeah, we don't. I just described it. We don't need to say it.
No, I want to put it up there.
I told you I wanted to squander my lead. Did I not say?
You did.
I have a lead, and
right there.
I like to squander it.
And you said it during the Dallas and the Detroit pick. You actually said it, so you knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Even the coin was not dumb enough though to pick the Giants against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they weren't dumb enough to pick the Jets though. Although that game was, closer. But so listen, Harry remains a game back. Nice job on the part of both you guys going chalk. So John and I now tied for the lead, which means he's going to start taking over. Hey, listen, I'm impressed. The coin a respectable 2 games under 500.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Not too bad. Not too bad. All right, so this week we've got them Jets versus. You know what? Let's pick that one last.
Okay.
Let's do Philly, hosted by them
Gents.
the New York Giants,
Mm-hmm.
going up against the amazing Jalen Hurts. And
Lamar Jackson-esque Jalen Hurts.
The Jackson-esque Hurts.
Jalen Hurts is a good college quarterback too.
He was good.
Yeah, he was. It seemed like he got a raw deal.
Yeah.
Coming out,
I agree. I think he was better.
Be the starter.
I thought he was better than Tua.
Yeah. So, anybody like the Giants here?
No.
Nope. The Eagles are winning the game, and it's unfortunate because
the Eagles
they're
are
actually
playing pretty good football.
They are, and they're retiring Michael Strahan's number this week at the.
Wasn't he?
Stadium.
Something he was mad about with that. Something about the ceremony he was. Moaning about.
No, the only thing I think I heard him say was something about what took you so long. He said.
Oh yeah, that sounds like him.
Yeah.
I heard Kelly Ripa's going to sack him.
And then, what's his name?
I don't know.
Shoot, who's the guy that does the show now?
Oh, Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah, Seacrest is going to come in and steal the jersey and run off the field
with it. Yeah.
All right, coin says tails, which is the
Eagles.
away team. So yeah,
everybody in agreement with that.
Coin is good with the Giant picks, but not so much with the Jet picks. All right, what could be a good game? What might not be? Tampa Bay, hosted by them Indy Colts. Does Tampa Bay have a run defense? I don't know. I haven't looked up rankings or anything.
I am going to say
they did this week.
Well, they didn't have to have much of one this week to just.
They've been inconsistent though. Tampa Bay is not.
So is
unbeatable
Indianapolis.
here. I'm going to go Tampa Bay. Brady's on a mission.
I think the Colts do it. Yeah, I'm going to take an Indy.
Johnny likes the Colts.
Harry?
This is one of those ones I just don't know.
Well, does anybody?
I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay.
All right. Let's see what the old coin says.
Come on, coin! Don't leave me on an island.
Coin says tails.
Tampa.
I like Tampa.
I'm on an island.
You're on an island. I've been there. It sucks.
Yes, yeah.
All right, and who is it? Is it Rams in Green Bay? Yeah.
Rams in Green Bay.
Who's at home?
Green Bay is at
Green
home.
Bay's at home.
Is Rodgers playing?
Yes.
Yeah. Rams are just too inconsistent.
They are
taking this game, right?
I'll be taking Green Bay on that one. mark me down for the Packers.
It's going to be a good game. I
is.
think they're both a little. I think Green Bay is an inconsistent team that knows how to win.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Green Bay. At home, it's tough to take the Rams.
I think I've lost with the Rams twice already. So
Yeah. You were hot on the Rams out of the gate.
yeah, well, they looked good the first 4 or 5 games.
They did.
There you go.
All right. So Coin says the home team. So we're all
In agreement.
in agreement. It'll be
Matthew
Green Bay.
Stafford's history in Green Bay is not stellar.
This is true.
Yeah, that's true.
When he was
All
wearing
right.
when he was wearing a jersey that's colored like this.
That's right.
Yeah.
When he was Barry Sanders.
Was anyone on the Lions have a real good history in Green Bay?
That's
Barry
all right.
Sanders.
That's about it. Yeah.
All right, Minnesota visiting San Francisco.
I'm taking the Vikings.
Vikings are hot, huh?
I'm taking the Vikes.
San Francisco's got Jimmy G back though.
They both look good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
they're a
do.
much better team. Although the Niners were beating up on the Jaguars, but
True story.
Vikings did beat the Packers.
I'm gonna go with the Vikings. I just think that they're a little bit more consistent on offense than the 49ers are.
Yeah. You got a lot of weapons.
49ers are home, but
I don't know if that means anything for the 49ers.
yeah, I don't know.
They're one of those
I
teams that doesn't.
don't even think anybody knows where they play.
Yeah, I gotta take Minnesota. They're hot. They're hot. And the coin says tails. So they're all.
Well, is
so
Minnesota
we all
hot?
think.
Has Minnesota won 2 in a row?
I don't know. Probably. Maybe. I'm not sure.
They have looked.
That's right. They beat the Chargers before they beat
They
the.
have looked
That's
better.
true. Yeah, they did.
They beat the
As of late.
Chargers and the
Chargers
Packers.
Yep.
Yeah.
They lost to the Ravens, but it was close.
Yep.
I think the Chargers they had a close one against the Cowboys. They've
Well,
had
they're
a
another
close one
team.
against
They're
everyone.
another team that have they've won or lost on last second plays.
Right.
So
They also only beat the Lions by 2 and lost to the Browns. But
Johnny,
Steelers Chargers 78 points put up.
Yeah.
What was the over under on that game?
and 75 of them were put up in the fourth quarter.
The fourth
Yeah.
quarter. Yeah.
All right. That was kind of like an old Chargers Raiders game, right?
Yeah.
Pretty
that's
much.
right.
Yeah.
500,000 yards of offense.
Yep.
All right. Final game for this. Well, next final game. Chicago visiting Detroit.
Yeah, we're throwing in a Thanksgiving game.
Yeah,
The
I mean
Lions'
Detroit's,
Thanksgiving game,
they got to get a win sometime, right?
I mean, if they're going to do it, this is going to be the week.
This was they were interviewing Dan Campbell the other day, and one of the reporters said to him, how do you feel about this? Is like your first national game, and it's probably going to be your only. I forget, I'm paraphrasing, but like your only national game this year. And Dan Campbell looked at him and said, "What? You mean you don't think they're going to flex us later in the season?" That's pretty good. I'm actually going to take the Lions here. I think the Lions are going to get a win. I mean, the Bears are floundering, right?
What's
The
his
Lions
name?
are home.
Is
It's
Fields
Thanksgiving. It's
playing?
their game. It's their thing. They've been, they tied the Steelers, and essentially the Steelers are a better team even without Roethlisberger, like they were that week, than the Bears are right now. So, yeah, I think they do it. I think the Lions get a win this week.
I do too, actually.
Yeah, I think they do.
I know I took them last week and lost them last week, but that was foolishness. Yeah,
I mean, the Bears. What was the last?
The Bears aren't good. The Bears
They're
aren't
just
good.
not
I mean,
good
they're not.
again.
Right.
They're just not good.
Yeah. So,
They lost to the Ravens. It was close. They lost to the Steelers. It was close. They lost to the 49ers. It was not that close. They got pummeled by the Bucks. They lost to the Packers by 10. They lost to the Raiders. They beat the Lions already this year by 10.
That was before the Lions had a tie.
This is a tough one. I mean, who's playing? Is there any major injuries on the Bears?
and I'm not sure, but I think there's a couple.
Let's
people.
see.
No, major-wise,
Fields and Hicks officially ruled out.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, Fields is out.
Done.
Let's
Detroit.
go for it. Let's come on, Detroit Lions.
I think the
All right,
Lions
this
win
is the
tomorrow.
week. This is the week. So who's
Who's the backup for the Bears?
I
Joe
don't know.
Flacco?
No, it's probably Andy Dalton.
Oh,
It's
wow.
Dalton time.
Dalton comes in and ruins this. Number 1, right? QB1.
QB1.
QB1. Forgot Andy Dalton.
All right, let's see what the coin says. Coin says heads.
They're going
Wow,
for
we're all
Detroit.
taking
We're all
Detroit.
on the Detroit train.
All right, and finally, the Jets versus the Houston Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
The
The
what?
Planet Houston.
The Houston Raiders.
Who are they playing?
The Texans. They're playing the Texans.
In Houston, right?
Yeah.
They're playing the Texans on the planet Houston.
Wow, this is another garbage ball that's tough to pick.
If it helps, the Houston Texans are favored by 2.5 points.
Yeah, barely favored.
Which means, and they're home, so home team automatically normally gets 3. So that means Vegas doesn't even know how to.
So
pick this.
Vegas doesn't have time. But Vegas only does this stuff to
Piss everybody off.
to get you to put your money down.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Not about who they really think is going to
44 and a half points is the over/under.
2-8 versus 2-8.
Yeah.
God, I'd feel better about the Jets if Zach Wilson, if it wasn't his first game back after not having played. That's what makes me. The Jets have just had no consistency in their personnel in the last. Not that the Texans have either.
Right.
Who is the Texans quarterback?
Tyrod Taylor.
No, he's not playing this week, is
No,
he?
he's not.
You're not?
He played last week.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait,
They,
let me
they
see.
won. He
Let
played.
me,
He played in the win, didn't he?
Davis Mills was I thought
He was. They had him starting, and now Tyrod Taylor played last week in that win against the Titans. I don't see why they would take him back out unless he got injured. Did he?
I really would love to see the Jets win this game because I think I had them winning 3 this year or 4.
You had him winning 4.
4. So
They need this win because they're only going to get one more, maybe.
I don't know. Houston at home, though. I mean,
Again, we just said it doesn't matter to the 49ers. You're gonna think Houston's gonna have an advantage.
well, the Jets are 0-5 away. Houston is at least won a game at home. They're 1-3 at home.
Mm-hmm.
I think it does make a little bit of difference in this game.
All right.
Oh,
I don't
man.
know.
Mike White and Joe Flacco are both on the COVID.
Yeah, they're both out with COVID, and the only reason why Flacco's out is because he's unvaccinated and he was, next to him.
Hanging out with Mike White.
He hasn't tested positive, but he has to stay out.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Houston's defense tied for 4th in the NFL with 13 interceptions.
The Jets look good with Flacco in there.
They did.
No, they won't look good this week
No.
with him in there.
I'm gonna take the Texans.
I'm taking Houston.
God, I want to take the Jets, but they're not going to win. I'm going to take Houston. I wanted to, but I just can't.
Now, let's see. Well, listen, you've got a chance to pick up some ground with the Tampa Bay Indy game, at least with John. And you and we are locked up. So you'll gain nothing on me, sir.
Me or
You.
John?
You.
I'm not looking to gain anything on anybody.
What's the coin say?
Coin says
Are you ahead? Are you ahead of me?
by a game.
We're both
Okay.
ahead of you by a game. We're tied 1 game up on you.
Oh, okay.
Coin likes Houston.
There you go.
There we go.
All right.
So
recap.
So me, Harry, and the coin are in lockstep.
The only game where we had a difference was Tampa Bay and Indy,
Tampa
right?
Bay and Indy. Yep.
I picked the Colts. That's it. All right. So there you
either
go.
John will be in first, solo next week, or I will.
Or you will. There you go.
All right, you bastards.
There you go. All right.
But you'll be a game behind.
Right.
No worse than that.
Right. All right. There you go. There's that. Nice fade out there. All right.
Lovely.
Lovely. Okay. There you go. All right. So that brings us to what? What does that bring us to? That brings us to our top 10.
Oh, our top 10
Our
hour.
top 10. Our top 10. Well, we do it faster now, right?
Let's do it really
Yeah, that's
fast.
true. I don't have anything to say about any of these guys.
Neither
So
do I.
I'll just breeze through them, and we'll
All
talk
right.
about
Don't you have a graphic you could just put up?
No, I should do that, right? Throw it up. There it is.
Make
Read
a
it.
top 10 list.
Anybody
Number
on the
10.
audio podcast, you got to go watch it on Facebook in order to find it.
If you put it up, I'll read them quick.
We're
There
not
won't be
gonna-
any
no,
middle
we won't
names.
mention it. We
There
won't
won't be
mention
any
it. You
middle
don't
We'll
get it.
mention it. There you go. Now we'll do. I'll read them quick. We'll go through them, and we'll talk about the number one and of course old balls. All right.
All right.
So here we go. All right. Let me
Did I pick his
go
old
back up
balls?
here. Did you pick his old balls? You're not sure.
No.
And here we go. Our top 10 list this week is top 10 Chicago Bears of all time. Top
The
10
Bears.
Chicago Bears. Top 10 Chicago Bears of all time. And of course, we have 11. So
we're getting better.
we have a tie at 9. Well, last couple weeks we've had 10. So we had a tie at 9. So I'll just we'll start them out here. Let me.
This was a hard.
the screen.
This is a hard one.
It was a little difficult, but I kind of once I got going on it, I kind of everything kind of fell into place.
Else,
Yeah. So here we go. All right, starting out with number 10. Number 10 is going to be Mr. Devin Hester. Devin DeVoris Hester Sr. to be exact. Wide receiver and return specialist out of Miami. Drafted in 2006. Second round pick, number 57 overall. Spent 8 seasons with the Bears, and then spent a couple seasons with the Falcons, and then flip-flopped one season between the Ravens and the Seahawks for the end of his career. But obviously the bulk of his career was the 8 seasons he spent in Chicago. 3-time first-team All-Pro, 1-time second-team All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, 3-time NFL Special Teams Player of the Year, 3-time Special Teams Player of the Year. He was just amazing special teams player. Member of the 2000s All-Decade Team and the 2010s All-Decade Team. Member of the 100th Anniversary Team, and he's on the list of 100 greatest Bears of all time. He has 3 NFL records, 20 total return touchdowns for his career, and 14 punt return touchdowns for his career, with 6 total return touchdowns in a season. He's tied with that record. 255 receptions for his career for 3,311 yards, 16 receiving touchdowns for 11,028 return yards, and 20 return touchdowns, of course. There you go. Devin DeVoris Hester, number 10 on our list. All right. That brings us to number 9. Number 9 is going to be Mr. Dan Hampton. Daniel Oliver Hampton, to be exact. Defensive tackle and end out of Arkansas, drafted the 4th pick overall in the first round in 1979 draft pick. Spent his entire 12-year career with the Bears. Super Bowl champion in Super Bowl 20. First team All-Pro in 84. 4-time second team All-Pro. 4-time Pro Bowler. Member of the 80s All-Decade Team. And he's on the 100 greatest Bears of all time. And he is in Canton, Ohio, in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Dan Hampton, number 9 on our list. Also tied for number 9 is Mr. Richard Dent. Richard Lamar Dent, to be exact. Defensive end out of Tennessee State, drafted in 1983 in the 8th round with the 203rd pick. Spent 11 seasons on the Bears, 1 season on the 49ers, came back to the Bears for a season in 95, and then spent a year on the Colts and a year on the Eagles. 2-time Super Bowl champion one with the Bears and one with the 49ers. Super Bowl MVP of Super Bowl 20 with the Bears. First team All-Pro in 85, 3-time second team All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, sacks leader in 85, member of the 100 Sacks Club. He's also in the 100 Greatest Bears of All Time Club, and he's in Canton, Ohio as well. Tied for number 9, Richard Dent. And you guys have anything to say about any of them? Just throw it out there. I'm just going down the list here.
Richard Dent was damn good.
He was a good defensive end.
But I do remember Jeff Hostetler putting his helmet into his gut and driving him into the end zone.
He did.
Next year.
He absolutely did.
That's my greatest memory of Richard Dent.
There you go. All right. Number 8 is Mr. Brian Urlacher. Brian Urlacher. No middle name, apparently. Just Brian Urlacher.
He's helping us out tonight.
He's helping us out tonight. Speed it up a little bit. Linebacker out of New Mexico, drafted first round 9 pick overall in the year 2000. Spent 13 seasons on the Chicago Bears his entire career. Defensive Player of the Year in 2005. Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2000. 4-time first team All-Pro. one-time second-team All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler. Remember the 2000 All-Decade team. Remember the top 100 Bears of all time. And he had over 1,000 tackles for his career, 41 and a half quarterback sacks, 22 interceptions, 2 touchdowns from those interceptions, and 78 pass deflections. And, of course, he's in Canton as well. Number 8, Brian Urlacher. Moving
He was
on.
pretty good.
He was pretty good, yeah, I have to say.
I think he actually is, as history's gone on, and I think he's actually a little underrated. His name doesn't get mentioned nearly as much as I think it should, but he's in the Hall of Fame. You know,
He is in the Hall of Fame.
He was also like, as far as Bears go, he was a Bears bear.
Yeah,
you know, in his persona and stuff. You know, along the lines of some of the guys whose names we're going to mention, I think, in a minute or two.
Long line of defensive. This is another franchise that's known for their linebackers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just the attitude. You know,
There you go. So,
iron-headed animals.
Yeah, but he was also that sort of next generation. He was a really good athlete, and he's one of the last sort of true middle linebackers who were dominating the league.
Yeah. So there you go. Number 8, Brian Urlacher. Moving on to number 7. Number 7 is Mr. Mike Singletary. Michael Singletary. Another no middle name.
No BS. None of those middle names.
Exactly. Linebacker out of Baylor. Drafted in the second round, pick 38 in the 1981 draft. Spent his entire 12-year career with the Chicago Bears. Was a coach for many teams and head coach, obviously, with the 49ers after that as well. Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl 20, 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, 7-time first-team All-Pro, 1-time second-team All-Pro, 10-time Pro Bowler. Walter Payton Man of the Year in 1990. And member of the NFL 1980s All-Decade team. Obviously, the 100 greatest Bears of all time list. His career stats: 1,488 tackles, 19 sacks, only 19 sacks. I thought he would have had more, and 7 interceptions. And of course, he is in Canton, Ohio, as well. Number 7, Mike Singletary. All right, moving on to number 6. Number 6 is Mr. Sid Luckman. Sidney Luckman, another no middle name. A lot of these Chicago Bears didn't have middle names.
Well, they weren't allowed to.
They weren't allowed to. There you go. Quarterback out of Columbia, drafted with the second pick overall in the first round of the 1939 draft. Played his, again, entire career with the Chicago Bears of 1939 to 1950, 12 seasons. And he's a 4-time NFL champion, 1940, 41, 43, and 46. The Bears just dominated the 40s. NFL Most Valuable Player in 43. 5-time first-team All-Pro, 1-time second-team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler, 3-time NFL passing yards leader, 3-time NFL passing touchdowns leader, 3-time NFL passer ratings leader. Member of the 1940s All-Decade team. His number 42 for the Bears is retired. He's on the list of 100 greatest Bears of all time as well. NFL record, 7 touchdown passes in a game. That's tied. And he's an NFL. As a coach, he was an NFL champion in 1963 as well. 14,686 passing yards. Career passer rating of only 75%. 137 touchdowns to 132 interceptions. And, of course, he is in Canton, Ohio, in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Number 6, Sid Luckman. All right, that brings us to number 5. Number 5 is going to be Iron Mike Ditka. Michael Keller Ditka. And he was born Michael Disco. I think that's it.
Ditka?
Disco, not Ditka, Disco. So, Michael Keller Ditka. There you go. Tight end out of Pittsburgh, drafted in the 1961 draft for the NFL with the 5th pick in round number 1 overall. He's also drafted with the 8th pick in round number 1 for the AFL draft, obviously picked the NFL. He spent 6 seasons with the Chicago Bears and then went to the Eagles for a couple years and the Cowboys. Finished up his career for 4 years on the Cowboys. He was a coach for the Cowboys for many years after his career, pretty much straight away. And then he went to the Chicago Bears and was head coach there for 11 seasons and finished up with the Saints, as we know. Super Bowl champion, as a player in Super Bowl VI with the Cowboys, NFL champion in '63 with the Bears, NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year in '61, two-time first-team All-Pro, three-time second-team All-Pro, five-time Pro Bowler. Member of the 75th anniversary team, member of the 100th anniversary team. His number 89 for the Bears is retired. He's on the 100 greatest Bears of all time list as well. And he was a Super Bowl champion, obviously, as a head coach as well in Super Bowl 20, and as an assistant coach, too, with the Cowboys in Super Bowl 7. And, of course, he is in Canton, Ohio as well. Number 5, Mike Ditka, Iron Mike Ditka. All right. Brings us to number 4. Number 4 is Mr. Gale Sayers.
Oof.
Gale Eugene Sayers, the Kansas Comet. Halfback out of Kansas, as you would imagine, in the 1965 draft. Pick number 4 overall in round number 1. And, of course, in the AFL draft, he went number 5 overall. But, of course, he chose the NFL. Played his entire seven-season career. Was it just short season? Short career with the Bears.
His career was cut short.
Yeah, with the Bears. NFL Comeback Player of the Year in '69. Offensive Rookie of the Year in '65. 5-time first-team All-Pro. 4-time Pro Bowler. 2-time NFL rushing yards leader. Member of the '60s All-Decade Team. Member of the 50th anniversary team, the 75th anniversary team, and the 100th anniversary team. His number 40 is in Chicago is retired. And he, of course, is almost 5,000 career rushing yards. Not too shabby for the 7 seasons he played for the Bears, being hurt some of that, too. And, of course, he is in Canton, Ohio, as well, in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Number 4, Gale Sayers.
8 returned touchdowns.
Yep.
His return yardage, 3,172. Let me put that in perspective. His rushing yardage was just under 5,000. Return yards, 3,172.
Absolutely. And 8 return touchdowns. Absolutely. Crazy.
Uh,
There you go. All right. And that would be number 4, Mr. Gale Sayers. All
I was
right.
going to say linebackers and return men.
well, running backs. I mean, boy, is there anybody who's got 2 better running backs in their franchise history?
Exactly.
All right. That brings us to number 3. Number 3 is Mr. Bronco. Oh, I hit the wrong one. Number 3 is Mr. Bronco Nagurski. There he is, right?
Sounds
there.
like a
Mr.
Polish
Bronco.
Sounds like a
Bronco
Polish
Nagurski.
after dinner drink.
Bronislaw Bronco Nagurski. Bronco is not his given name. It's not on his birth certificate. Bronislaw Nagurski is his name.
Oh yeah.
Bronislaw Bronco Nagurski. There he is. Fullback and linebacker and offensive tackle as well. Out of Minnesota. He played with the Bears from 1930 to 1937 and again in 1943. So he played 8-9 seasons with the Bears. 3-time NFL champion with the Bears, 32, 33, and 43. 4-time first-team All-Pro, NFL rushing touchdowns leader in 32. As a fullback, obviously. Where am I? 1930s All-Decade Team, 75th anniversary team. His number 3 is retired with Chicago Bears. He is also on the 100 greatest Bears list of all time. And his Minnesota Golden Gophers number 72 is retired as well, too. And, of course, he is in Canton, Ohio, in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Canadian. He's a Canuck.
Yep. He was born in Rainy River, Ontario.
That's right.
Rainy River, Ontario. There you go. Number 3, Bronislaw Bronco Nagurski. Number 3 on our list tonight. All right, brings us to the top 2. Number 2 is going to be Mr. Dick Butkus.
Yeah.
There you go.
Systems guy.
A systems linebacker, absolutely. Richard Marvin Butkus, to be exact. What do you call it? A linebacker out of Illinois, drafted in the 1965 draft. Went pick number 3 overall in the first round for the NFL draft. And he was drafted in the AFL draft as well, but obviously picked the Bears in the NFL. He played for 9 seasons. 9 seasons with the Bears. 5-time first-team All-Pro. 3-time second-team All-Pro. 8-time Pro Bowler. 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year. NFL 1960s All-Decade Team. 70s All-Decade Team. 75th Anniversary Team. 100th Anniversary Team. His number 51 is retired by the Chicago Bears. And, of course, he is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame as well. Richard Marvin Butkus. Dick Butkus. Number 2 on our list tonight. There you go. All right. And that brings us to number one, and this shouldn't be a shock to anybody out
Wonder
there.
who it is.
Wonder who it could be. Sweetness himself, Mr. Walter Payton. Walter Jerry Payton. Sweetness. Running back out of Jackson State. Drafted in the first round, 4th pick overall in 1975. Played his entire 9-year career with the Bears. Super Bowl champion in Super Bowl 20. Most valuable player, NFL most valuable player in 1977. Offensive player of the year in 77. He was the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year in 77. I think it was just the NFL Man of the Year award at the time. 5-time first-team All-Pro. He was a 3-time second-team All-Pro. 9-time Pro Bowler. His entire career, he was a Pro Bowler.
From day one.
From day one. Now, there's a couple of years he wasn't, but what you call it? 9-time Pro Bowler, NFL rushing yards leader in 77, rushing touchdowns leader in 77. That was a good year for him. 4-time NFL rushing attempts leader. Won the Burt Bell Award in 85. Member of the 70s All-Decade Team, 80s All-Decade Team, 75th Anniversary Team, 100th Anniversary Team. His number 34 is retired in Chicago. He's a member of the 100 Greatest Bears of All Time. Here's his career stats. 16,726 rushing yards on 3,838 rushing attempts. 4.4 yards per carry, not too shabby. 110 rushing touchdowns. 4,538 receiving yards on 492 receptions. 9.2 yards per reception. That's not too shabby at all. And 15 receiving touchdowns as well. And, of course, he is in Canton, Ohio, in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Number one on our list tonight, Sweetness, Mr. Walter Jerry Payton.
You know, you asked earlier about our memories of Thanksgiving. I do think of Walter Payton and Barry Sanders, but I just think of some of those classic games that Walter Payton had back in the really, I guess, the early 80s. And 81, he carried 38 times for 179 yards. They lost to the Cowboys 10-9. In 1980, he had 18 carries for 123 yards. Yeah, I just the 82 was the Lawrence Taylor 97 yard interception return. Yep. It just he was something else. But there seemed to be a couple years there on Thanksgiving Day where he was just ahead of everybody else on the field.
I agree.
I mean, it's people always talk about the best athlete to ever play in Chicago, and everybody assumes it's Michael Jordan. I don't know. Yeah. I think Walter Payton gives him a run for his money, no pun intended.
I agree with you.
There really isn't anything bad about Walter Payton.
No, other than the fact that they just, in the one year that he won the Super Bowl, it just seemed like he was on everything that he represented in football seemed to be sort of overshadowed by this chaos and frat party that was going on around.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, Refrigerator Perry, I think, had more carries in the Super Bowl than Walter Payton.
Crazy. All right. Yeah. All right. Number one on our list tonight, Mr. Walter Payton. All right. That brings us to this week's Old Balls.
Old Balls.
All right. Tell us who this week's Old Balls is.
This week's Old Balls is none other than Mr. Bear himself, Mr. George Halas. And, it's kind of hard to think about football and not think about George Halas. He was an American. He not only played, but he was a coach and a team owner. He was the founder and owner of the Chicago Bears and served as its own head coach on 4 occasions. He was not only that, but he was one of the co-founders of the National Football League. And became in 1963 became one of the first 17 inductees into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I think people think of him more as an owner and a coach, but he was an 8-time NFL champion, 2-time AP NFL Coach of the Year. He's part of the NFL 1920s All-Decade Team and the 100th Anniversary All-Team,
sure,
and the Sporting News 1940s All-Decade Teams. I mean, he was one of the architects of football. It's that simple. And by the way, he also played for the Yankees.
Yes.
I mean,
by the way,
I think he did it all. This might be something that we want to.
He was Mr. Everything. So
right, yeah, he was Mr. Everything, and it makes you. Things aren't the same. I understand, and the money that's involved in sports is way different. But look, the Bears became the first team to hold daily practices. They were the first to analyze film of opponents. Okay. He was the first to ever place assistant coaches in the press box during games, place a tarp on the field, and to broadcast the games on the radio.
Yeah.
So, I mean, absolutely. He was an innovator up and, all along the way. And, when you think of the Bears, yes, you think of the Ditkas and you think of the Butkuses, but George Halas, he was there when it all started. He was one of the people who started this all.
You're right.
And he's pretty damn good.
He was. You're absolutely right. All right.
There's a reason they call him Papa Bear.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
George Halas, Papa Bear Halas, this week's Old Balls.
Old balls.
All right. Well, there you have it. All right. We do have. I did forget to bring this up. We do have other people that we voted for. No, for baseball.
We voted for something.
No, for our top 10 list tonight.
Oh, the honorable mentions.
The honorable mentions. There's the number one honorable mention. We'll just jump right to the number one honorable mention is Yogi Bear.
That's right.
I mean, he was created in 1958, and I think you had the stat too before, Harry, right? It's only actual, or do you have it, Pete? Only 17 actual stolen picnic baskets out of a possible 480 something.
They didn't count that stat early on.
They didn't count the stats.
Yeah, the accuracy is suspect because
and Boo Boo didn't get credit for the
Boo Boo actually did help a lot in those,
he did.
and he did.
And what is it with cartoon bears and their inability to wear pants?
I'm not sure.
I want to know.
Ties fine, caps, collars,
a collar and a tie, but no shirt,
no shirts, and no pants. No, never no pants.
Well, it's always Sunday for them. No pants Sunday. Yes. But
my parents would never let me be Yogi Bear for Halloween.
Yeah, that's right.
Number one, it was too cold.
They let you be Smokey Bear though.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there you go. Here's a couple other honorable mentions of them were Smokey, Winnie, Paddington, Fozzie, Teddy Ruxpin, Boo Boo, the Bernstein Bears, Bob Mould.
And Harvey
Firestein. So there you go.
Well, I mean, there's look, you got to give credit where credit's due. There's some talented Bears out there.
Exactly. All right. Well, there you go. Do we want to talk a couple minutes about some basketball happenings?
Oh boy, it's all over the place, huh?
Yeah.
You guys are worried about your Nets. The Nets look good.
You guys?
Nets look good.
Why are you including me with him?
Yeah, he's not. Listen, the Nets are
here. With you.
Just a couple things, right? Nets have won 4 in a row. They're 14-5. There's 2 other teams that in the NBA that have less losses, which is not including today's games, of course.
Yeah,
they're out of the West, of course. The Warriors and the Suns, yeah. Look, here's just a couple things I'll throw at you. So, Nets and the Bucks are both 3-0 in the division. Nets have a few more division games. They're 12 in the conference, rather. They're 12-4 in the conference,
right.
And the Bucks are 8-5. So that's good. And the Bucks have won 5 in a row to get to 11-8.
Yeah, they're healthy again. I mean, they got Middleton back. And
yeah. So that again looks to be the best. Although
they also played Detroit tonight.
Yeah, but don't count out the Miami Heat. They're a very good team as well.
And by the way, and I kind of had a feeling on this one, but Houston beat Chicago tonight. So
there you go.
I don't know. The Bulls
there's some heat in Houston, baby.
Houston's coming back alive. The Knicks are 10-8. So
the Knicks are not good.
Yeah, I don't know what the what the Knicks need to do to
play
get better
consistent
than they were
basketball.
last year. I
Well,
guess.
it really has nothing to do with. I think that they put in a good effort. I think that they've taken a step back defensively, which was their calling card last year to some degree. They're still a good defensive team. I think
They're better off the bench, though.
they're a little bit. They're better off the bench. Look,
Markedly. I'm not saying they're like night and day. If there were, then they'd switch it around.
They don't have a go-to superstar on their team. They don't have a game changer on their team. They don't. Yeah. And Kemba Walker, I was not hot about this when they got him.
No, you said it right from the get-go, yeah.
I'm still not. And I still say that the Knicks of Walker, Fournier, and Barrett, two of them every night have to really play well for them to win.
Yep.
And I still stand by that. I think that they should and they can be able to beat teams that they're supposed to beat. But it's always close. It's always close because they don't have the right balance to play against the elite teams in this league.
Right.
I think they'll make the playoffs again, but I don't necessarily think that. I think they're in the bottom portion of the East.
They're going to have to do a playing game, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, look, last year they were the team that came from nowhere, right? And they were a surprise and a pleasant surprise, and they were exciting. This year, well, nobody. Well, we kind of know them a little bit better, and I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what they were thinking would happen with what was Kemba Walker going to bring.
I don't know, to
the team. Maybe
maybe
it was a feel-good move more than anything else.
I think what it was laying the groundwork to say, okay, somebody's willing to come here. They're sort of a big name. They have the ability to maybe have a comeback year and be a little better. And maybe that will help them draw somebody else.
Yeah. It wasn't for what he was going to do for them on the court as much as a PR.
The East has, other than the Nets, really, there's not a lot of consistency. The Heat have not been consistent. They lost again tonight. The Bulls are up and down. The Wizards are up and down, and even the Bucks, a team that is maybe having a little bit of a hangover after the championship season. And a little bit of injury and some unfortunate, timing personnel wise, they're even struggling a little bit. Yeah. I think the Sixers, once they get Embiid back, will be a lot better. And I think Boston and Atlanta are two teams that are tough, that are playing fairly inconsistent ball. But, Toronto can beat anybody in the East on any given night. We've seen Indiana win some games that I don't, that they weren't expected to win. I think the most consistent team, and this is what you've been asking for all the time, the most consistent team in the East is Brooklyn. And the three most consistent teams in the West are sitting atop, and that's Golden State, Phoenix, and Utah.
By the way, Durant was 0 for 4 from three-point range today.
0 for 4.
Cam Thomas 0 for 6. Devon Carter 2 for 2, though. All 6 of his points coming from behind the arc. James Harden was 4 for 9. And Patty Mills 7 out of 10.
Wow, he missed some.
I'm telling you,
he had 23 points and 21 of them came off the three.
The biggest difference for the Nets this year is Lamar Aldridge back and playing, and Patty Mills taking the ball out of Harden's hands, letting him play more of a 2 role or a 1.5.
It's important.
Having Patty Mills out there. Look at this balanced scoring from the Nets starters. 21 from Durant, 17 for Aldridge. That's big. They didn't have anybody really contributing at that power forward position last year. No. Whatever you want to call it. It also lets Durant sort of play more of a 3, which I think is more comfortable for him. My point is that they've gotten smaller without having to sacrifice anything on the defensive end.
Right.
Yeah, they're relying a lot on the jump shot.
James Harden was plus 29 tonight.
Yeah, well, 20 points.
And he only shot 4 of 13 from the field, but all 4 shots he made were 3-pointers. Yeah. And here's the biggest difference between the beginning of the year and now: Harden's going to the free throw line. He's figured out these new rules, and he's going to the free throw line. And the Nets still have some guys out that are not on, or that are on the
they have
team.
last year's best 3-point shooter.
Right.
It's not even in the game right now. So,
Right.
But he did get exposed a little bit in the playoffs last year, Harris. I think this lineup with Mills in there and Aldridge, I think it really takes a lot of pressure off Durant. I think that on teams that don't, they're going to struggle a little bit when they have to go up against somebody like Joel Embiid or Jokic if they're healthy. But they on the offensive end, they're a really tough matchup because they're kind of big at the 3. Harden has a good matchup at the 2. Mills is playing a point guard position, and Aldridge is a guy. Let's not forget it. He can light it up, especially if they're going to have to cover him. It's going to leave KD open. I think the Nets are in a good position to win the East this year. I really do.
And they've got DeAndre Bembry.
Yeah, who had a good game.
Had a good game, and he's got a great name.
Tonight. Yeah.
He got a great name, and he had a good game.
Got a great name.
So we'll see. It's Golden State losing to Philly tonight in Philly. Golden State, the one thing, everybody's hot on Golden State's start. They're great. Or is Golden State home today? They're home today. But they're down big to the Sixers.
Yeah, they're down 15 to the Sixers.
Sixers have played some really good games on this road trip with nobody on their team starting.
Yeah.
So,
they got nothing to lose.
Right. And Golden State has played a lot of games at home. So they're going to, as the season progresses, they're going to have to play more games on the road.
Sure.
Yeah.
But, boy, once Klay Thompson full practice the other day, it's going to be a tough team.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a tough team.
Yeah. Right. We haven't really seen
No.
It's been almost 3 years since we've seen Golden State in their full strength, right? Because Klay Thompson got hurt, then he came back, and then he got hurt. So, they're going to be the West might be almost decided by mid-season.
Seth Curry's outscoring his brother right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well,
Porter is the leading scorer for the Warriors right now.
Yeah.
Listen, last couple of years, Seth Curry's been
And that's a
right
9-point difference.
With Steph, as far as point shooting percentage and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, Steph's still a better shooter, but Seth is not. He's no redheaded stepchild. He's there, right on his heels.
He's right.
I think you're going to see the Sixers make a move for somebody. I don't know who it's going to be, but I think this Sixers team, the one good thing about Embiid being out is that these guys are getting some playing time and they're playing really good defense. I mean, tonight, this is a good game to watch if it's on TV. These are two of the best defensive teams in the league, and the Sixers have already lit up the Warriors for 49 points with 6 minutes left in the half.
I'll flip back and forth, but when we're done, I actually have to go do a tradition and watch my pre-Thanksgiving Thanksgiving movie. Getting a couple things ready.
Home for the holidays?
No, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Top 10 Thanksgiving movies.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. We should have done that. I should have actually done that.
My favorite's Home for the Holidays. Holly Hunter at her best. And Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I can't even think of. I guess it would probably be Planes, Trains. I'd have to look at the list.
I got to watch that movie every Thanksgiving Eve. So anyway,
and Slapshot.
Slapshot
Has nothing to do with Thanksgiving, but it's a good one to watch on Thanksgiving.
Right. Just like Die Hard has nothing to do with Christmas, other than the fact that it happens around Christmas.
Well, before we end, I have one thing to say, even though it's 27 hours into the podcast. At the beginning of this podcast every week, you hear the lovely sounds of a band called Plog. Yes. Well, that band, who I happen to be part of, is playing a show on December 4th at Herman's Hideaway here in Denver, Colorado. We'll add some links, hopefully, to the podcast, and
we'll put them up on Instagram and Facebook and the website. So
you guys can follow us on the interwebs, the Insta faces, and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
So,
will there be any live streaming?
No.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Will there be a recording that we could post later?
There might be recordings that you can post later, but probably not of the show.
Maybe some crowd recordings.
Yeah, we're just going to record people getting drinks at the bar.
Just record. Put a recording on. Put a microphone on the bartender.
And throw one in the bathroom.
Yes.
One at the bar and one in the bathroom.
For B-roll.
Yeah.
The bathroom roll. There you go. All right. Well, it's gonna be an interesting weekend. A lot of good football tomorrow. A lot of good food tomorrow. A lot of good beer tomorrow.
A lot of football tomorrow. We don't know if it's going to be good.
Yeah, right. All right. I'll take the word good.
Well,
a lot of football tomorrow. So.
The more beer, then maybe the football gets better.
The more beer you drink, the better the football gets.
It's a good thing that the Lions-Bears is the first game and not the last. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. Well,
if that were the last game, then there could be riots in either and or both of those cities by halftime.
So there you go. So was it Herman's Hideaway? Is that the name of the place?
Herman's Hideaway, yeah.
Herman's Hideaway, Denver, Colorado, December 4th. We will talk about it next week on the podcast as well because it's still going to be before the show, and we'll put the links up right away too. So, all right. On that note, we want to wrap up the show for today. We want to thank everybody for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of the shows are on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night around 7:30 Eastern Time. And for those of you that just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. Plus, the show is now available on Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you'll never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful, happy, and healthy Thanksgiving. Eat a lot of food. Drink a lot of good beer. Drink responsibly, whatever you're drinking. Watch a lot of football, good or not. Watch a lot of football. No basketball on tomorrow, so you can't watch that. That'll be on Friday again. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will talk to you soon, guys. Have a good one. Cheers.
That's quite a list of demands.
Yeah, do whatever the fuck you want. Happy Thanksgiving.
Do whatever you want. Happy Thanksgiving, folks.